have been such a scatterbrained mess the last week and a bit because I have not been well. So I'm really kind of just craving getting back into my journal, getting things organized as much as possible, which usually would come at the start of a kind of busy week in terms of, productivity, getting things done, actioning items on my like task list, to-do list, whatever else. This week though, I'm actually going away like tomorrow, literally. So I in terms of like getting, things done, it's really just everything that I can do in the one day that I'm actually going to be home this week. So quite a bit to get done, but we're not going to try and push myself too much because I'm still on the road to recovery, if you can't hear it in my voice. Hello, welcome. It is such a pleasure to have you here with us. Let me know what you're doing. Let me know what you're working on. Are you working your journal with us? Are you just like hanging around the house? Am I just yabbering in the background and keeping you company? All is good. But I'm going to be trying to just get updated in my journal, get myself caught up, and hopefully take it fairly easy with this. So kind of like ease myself into a day where I still feel like I need to get done, get a lot done. But anywho, in terms of stuff that I'm looking at here though, so monthly kind of pages for the month in question being August. So making sure that I've got things filled in here so that I kind of feel like it's been sent off nicely because come next week when I get back, my August will be over. I'll be into September pages. So it'd be nice to have this as kind of filled in as possible before I go. So it kind of feels like it's been closed out because when I'm away, I have a tendency not to use my journal. So reflections, working on making sure that I have updated my monthly log because I've not been well. I haven't really been, I don't know, actively using this, but I did find that I used it more last month than I usually would, and that felt really good. Like, even towards the end of the month, I didn't really use it as much, but it still felt like kind of an accomplishment to have stuff there. But I kind of want to make sure that this is filled in, just as kind of like a record of what's been going on for myself and also like tasks I've been working on, that kind of thing. We've also got my self-care routines. That one is technically mostly up to date. I'm gonna check that off now. So I have been trying this month in particular to take better care of myself just because I noted that I was neglecting a couple of like self-care routines that I wanted to make sure that they're actually just part of my regular routine rather than things that only get actioned every so often, because I do have a tendency to kind of just forget or neglect these kind of tasks, which is not necessarily ideal. We have the self-care bingo, which I've done a double pass over in color for these two boxes, but only single for this one. So I'd like to color those ones in. The rest of these haven't actually been done. Taking a full day off might happen while I'm away, so we'll see. But technically the purpose of my trip is to help my parents pack up their house so that they can move, so it's like not really a full day off. Office organization project going fairly well. Then we're into the dailies and we'll do some work in there as well. But let's go have a look. What are you guys up to? So we've got yay, finally made it. Whoop, so excited to be here. We are excited to have you here. Awesome. It's a wonderful plan. First time to be here. Wait, on your second Archer and Olive unboxing. Nice. Yeah, I just received like last week the sub box for September, which I wasn't expecting, so that was really exciting. And literally as soon as it arrived on my doorstep, I'm like, nope, we're throwing out all the plans today. We're filming an unboxing. We're doing that instead. So thankfully I've got those edited because I mean, like the full unboxing doesn't come out until, the new month or whatnot. But in terms of sneaks and spoilers and stuff, that comes out while I'm away. So I wanted to make sure that I had that video ready to release without me needing to be there. That's quite exciting. Alrighty, let's see. We're finishing off some hobby projects. Nice. Excellent. Yay, you caught alive as well. You're working on your budget. My budget needs so much attention because I just have not been filling it in. I haven't been like filing my paperwork for my taxes and stuff. It like doesn't need to be done anytime soon. It's not like me trying to, get the popo off to me or anything like that, but it's like I need to keep on top of it so that then when it comes to tax season, I won't have a completely awful time trying to backlog everything. I do need to do that. It's actually one of the projects that I've decided on for next month. Let's see. It's the evening for you. Nice. I for me, it's like 9 a.m. on a Monday morning, so very much like my start to the week kind of a thing. But yeah. Oh, yep. Working on your reading journal. You might have seen him like sneaking in the corner. We might end up doing some reading journal work as well because that's also very been neglected and such, and it's not a good feeling. I think for working in my journal though, I'm gonna work backwards just because it's like starting with the kind of the now and working back to like the kind of bigger picture. This is obviously a big sneak peek spoiler for what's coming out later this week. This is my setup for next month. I'm so excited about it. I love the color palette. But in terms of today, so this is the list I've written myself for today. I've already kind of gotten started on my day. So like started doing my laundry, that kind of counts. Still have to draw the giveaway. So we do have a giveaway going on at the moment for you win a notebook effectively. It's open internationally. Technically speaking, it was closed at 8 a.m. this morning, so like an hour ago, but I also haven't drawn it yet, and I'm not really going to check timestamps. So if you want to enter, it's like the last short on this channel. You can go and check that out before I finish up this live stream, and then maybe possibly win yourself a journal, which is exciting. So need to do that, need to pack, obviously. I also always like to write myself a last minute packing list, and this is effectively just a list of things that I will pack right before I walk out the door tomorrow. So things like my pillow, because I leave at 3:30 in the morning and I need my pillow to sleep on. Things like my journal usually is one of them. Just double checking that I've got my chargers, my passport, and stuff like that. Effectively anything that goes into my hand luggage or things that I need right before I leave. So usually like my toothbrush, because I'll brush my teeth right before I leave the house. Yeah, those are usually like my last minute packing items. So I want to make a little list of those. Need to update the timestamps on a recent video. Need to review my content schedule, especially for next month, because the schedule that goes out to our team members, that comes out while I'm away as well. Need to make sure that that's all ready to go. I don't think there's anything specific to add to this list. And I don't have a meal plan for this week yet, so maybe I'd say meal plan, but technically, I'm gonna be away, so I'm gonna be meal planning with my parents, so I won't do that till tomorrow anyway, so there's not a lot of point adding it to the list now. Oh my gosh, it's 2:30 in the morning for you? No, sleepy time, sleepy time. I hope you get some rest soon, unless you're like a complete night owl and then, you do you. So, nothing to add here yet. Haven't started packing, so nothing to add there either. These are all of my recent dailies, so I don't have to update any of those, but I do need to go through this priorities list, and I'd like to log my meal from yesterday. So yesterday we had pho and chips, which sounds like fish and chips, but it's not. It's pho and chips. Because the place that we get pho also does chips, and the chips are actually quite good. So I need to probably stop getting both of them every time I get pho, but also they're delicious, so, it is what it is. Alrighty, we has a question. Alrighty, anyone have the link to the 2025 year at a glance calendars? I don't have them up yet, because I was kind of thinking about how I wanted to make them this time, because previously, in terms of, I mean, we're gonna do some math. This is a great thing to do first thing in the morning, but previously, when I've done the year at a glance calendars, I obviously have Sunday start versus Monday start. We have 3.5 centimeter calendars versus 4 centimeter calendars. We have serif font. We have kind of rounded looking font and then a more angular looking font. So that's 3 fonts. We have white background versus black background, and then we have outlined. So those are the kind of the different types. We're just going to put white here. And then we also have double digit for the individual digit numbers and single digit for the individual numbers. So what is that? 2 times 2 times 3 times 2 times 2. I feel like there's another one that I'm missing probably. Yeah. So whatever this number is, 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 3 is 12, 12 times 2 is 24, 24 times 2 is 48. I feel like there's something I'm missing here, because usually we get up to about 160 different versions of the calendar, and it just feels maybe a little bit excessive. So I'm thinking about which of these elements actually matter the most in terms of making those calendars before I go and put in the several days of work to make them all, if that makes sense. For instance, Sunday versus Monday start, I feel like it makes sense to have those as options, but I don't necessarily think that we need 3 font options, and I'm not too sure if people actually need all of the rest of them, So I'm in the process of setting them up. It's just like I'm trying to figure out which variants we actually want and or need in making them before I go and put all the effort in to make them. Yeah, because it does take a little bit of effort. All good. Yeah, Monday starts are brilliant. I personally do a Monday start, but I know that a lot of people do prefer a Sunday start, which is why I do usually have that as an option. But I also like the actual kind of like time required to put into making them. I'm like, I want there to be enough of a payoff to kind of make it worth it. That's not to say that making the calendars isn't worth it, because I personally use them as well. Like I use them in the setup, like these are the little calendars. So I'm thinking of possibly just going to maybe like a singular font option or something, because I feel like this is a kind of like nice generic neutral or something. And then possibly just doing like Sunday, Monday, and then having it on a white black. I haven't thought about it enough to actually get into it. I was like literally thinking like, oh, I should put out like a survey to see what people want. I'm like, you are doing a lot of work for a freebie, like because I give this away for free. So I'm kind of like, do we need to go that hard? Maybe. But anywho, in terms of the priorities list, because I wasn't well last week, my priorities list got completely shot. I very much hoped that I was going to do quite a lot more, but yeah. So newsletter 1 and 2, rather number 1 got done. Number 2, which is the newsletter that I'm going to write today, hasn't been done, but that's why it's going to get pushed over to the priorities list for this week. Newsletter 3, that one will probably happen while I'm away because I just don't see it happening today, but I'll still put it on the priorities for this week, I suppose. Video for my reading journal pages. I have been working on this. I'll give you a sneak peek of that one. So started in a new R&D notebook with a little T, which is quite cute. You were just about to ask the cost. Yeah, no, I like the idea of just a free calendar that you can print for yourself. And I like people to have options. It's just like balancing like number of options versus time versus the fact that it's a freebie. But in terms of this one, this is for reading journal ideas. And I wrote out all the reading journal ideas I have. I have like 100 ideas. So I've been setting them up in this journal kind of like as little example pages. Obviously, some of them like I go and fill in and write stuff in. Some of them I will not write quite as much stuff in, but working on that has been taking me a while because I mean like it's a lot of pages, but also I just I kind of like forgot how long it was gonna take me to make as many pages as I'm making. So I've been getting through it slowly but surely. This video will end up coming out next month rather than this month because originally it was planned for like last week. Ha 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 ha. No, we'll get there. But so let's see, where were we? The videos for Ultra and Olive, I had to hit them up and just be like, hey, can I get an extension on that because I'm dying? Thankfully, they said that was fine. It's not going to be a priority for this week because I'm away, but it will be something that I have to do when I get back pretty promptly when I get back. And that's all good. Hangout happened. Team pick, I have not organized, but that will be a today job actually because I want that to be organized before I leave. So we'll put that here. By team pick, effectively what I mean is that each month, one of the higher tiers in our membership, they get to pick out the topic for a video. So they get to suggest, like they kind of have like priority suggesting of themes for the video, and then also get to, as a collective, vote on which one they want to see. So team pick, we need to put that there. That's cool. Exclusive edited video, that one I have to move because I didn't get a chance to do it either because that one was supposed to be coming out tomorrow, but you're gonna get sick of it, but I've been sick. Okay, I'll stop saying it now. But okay, video for the reading journal, that one still needs some work. That's cool. This video, I can't even remember what this was, but that one's probably getting pushed forward as well. Teehee. Matt's birthday gift happened. Matt's my brother. I call him brother more than I call him Matt, but that one's all good. Reading retreat, that one was fun. So my friends came over, we had a cozy reading day, and then the mastermind meeting actually got cancelled because most people couldn't make it, but it turned into a podcast meeting. Mark and I did a little meeting to check in and schedule out topics for the rest of our podcast episodes for the rest of the what's the word? I lost my train of thought because I started to read comments at the same time as talking. So leaving you on that cliffhanger that you probably know how finished, even though I don't. But let's see, team pick, and then the tasks to do that. What notebook size is this one? The notebook size that I've got here is an A5. It's typically my favorite size. I've got pretty much all of my notebooks are in A5, with the exception of my health journal, which is a B6 instead. My travel journal is also a B6, but that one I don't consider to be part of my like typical quote quote typical lineup because I don't use it like that often. It literally gets used like once a year. So I need to do some more highlights for these because it is always neater to highlight first and then write over the top rather than writing and then highlighting. Technically, this pen is supposed to be able to handle the jandle, but this paper won't let it behave as well as it probably could, which is fine. I don't mind highlighting first. But if you don't highlight first, oftentimes I find that things smudge and it's just messy. Don't want that. Let's see. So, 14 pick. We need to. I need to pick the topics that go into the poll. Pick topics. And then update the form. To make sure that it has got all of those new topics in there, and then make sure that the posts are scheduled. But I think the posts are technically already scheduled, so I don't really have to do anything for that. For the rest of this list, that'll be space for writing in Monday. But as said, I do need to add to my priorities. Let's see. Handle the jandle. That's not like okay, so that one technically it's a Kiwi thing. It's not a just me thing, but it is something that I do say that possibly other people haven't really heard before. So if you're wondering, like, what the heck is a jandle? Jandle is just like a flip flop, a thong, like jelly sandal kind of a thing. Footwear, footwear of the beach variety, but we call them jandals here in New Zealand. So priorities, newsletter, need to do that. Packing with mom and dad, because my packing, like, although it has to happen, I don't really consider it a priority. It's just going to happen. But packing with mom and dad. I know there was another thing on this list that I said, like, oh, I need to make sure I do that. So I'm going to go back and consult my list. Video stuff, it wasn't. Snoop. Team pick poll, which we've kind of started writing down. So I'll put it down there because it's a priority. Team pick poll. Gorge. Oh, good. So you just finished watching the Planner Pal's favorite layouts. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. Yeah, I know that we got at least one comment of people being like, "Oh, you know, it really sucks about the audio quality in this one." I'm like, I mean, once you get as far into the editing as I was, you kind of just get used to it. But I can understand when you start listening to it, you're like, oh, that sounds a little grainy. But yes, Mark was filming on the go for this one because he was away with his family, which I thought it was still cool that we were able to film it because I would not be able to film on the go. I don't think I have the right kind of gear that I can take on the go for that kind of thing. I don't mind vlogging on the go, but editing vlogs, but I'll get there eventually. There we go. We put those away. So I'm not really going to go through the majority of these ones. I really just wanted to check in with that priorities list in particular, because like there are still technically tasks on here that like need to be migrated and stuff. I do wish that I had done a better job of actually using my migrated stickers for this month. So for each of these, there were like little headers that I kind of made out, and like just had to figure out ahead of time which ones I was going to need. And even then I could not foresee all of them. Like this one here, life admin, I had to write that one in myself because I did not have one that said life admin. But I think I did a fairly good job. And then I've got the ones for next month, which are these ones. They're all sitting there looking quite cute. I haven't started cutting them out yet because, well, I've obviously started cutting out some of them because I've already done the setup. But yeah, I think it's just like a fun way to play around with your, I don't know, lettering without you actually having to really do it yourself, which I think is kind of nice because lettering is one of the ways that you can, you know, really lean into a theme or kind of just add a little bit of decoration to your journal that doesn't really have to be like drawing or sticker work or collages or anything like that. I really appreciate just the kind of like adds a little bit of lift to the page, and it also gives like a nice little kind of space for a header or whatever like that. But actually doing this style of lettering for myself takes a long time. Even though my brush lettering has gotten a lot better since I started, I've been doing this for a while. But to actually do this style of lettering every day as a header and to get it looking consistent and in a way that I like would have taken way too much time. Making little stickers for it though, is a little bit of fun. I haven't worked up to using my Cricut for it, but that's mainly because when you print from Cricut design software, like the last time I tried to do it, it turned out to be like very low quality prints, but that's because I kind of didn't know how to make it so that the print quality was better. You have to like go into the printer settings or whatever. I didn't know how to do that. It didn't really matter for what I was printing, but still. And I also find it tricky to size things appropriately in there. Whereas if I print it on, this the way that I've done this one, right? This is literally just setting up a Microsoft Word document, making some tables that have rows that are the same height that I want the headers to fit into. So these are all like a centimeter high or whatever, and then just figuring out what font size is going to make it so that it actually sits in there and doesn't go over. I find that to be a lot easier, and you get to use a lot more of the page because I find that when you use the Cricut software and print from the Cricut software, it prints it smaller than the width of the page so that it actually just works in the area that it has the ability to cut or something. Big shrug. But I'll get there. Just not today. It was one of those things. I was thinking about using it for the setup for next month. And I was just like, you are too unwell to learn new skills right now. Like, we will save that for future. Future, you can do that. You've been watching all the episodes of the Planner Pals and you just saw that you're alive. Yay! Glad to have you here with us. So in terms of my office organization project, this one has been a lot of fun, and it's always nice to work on a goal or a project that has a very like tangible outcome. So reorganizing my office, moving things into different spaces, like getting the cables that I need to do my cable management properly, all of that. It's been quite satisfying to kind of see it come together. It is not finished. Not even close. I still need to do full cable management. I still have cables that are coming. I still need to remove all the rubbish from my office. I want to reorganize my shelves so that then they look a little bit more like aesthetic, quote, quote. But we're getting there and progress is being made. In terms of decluttering, I put notebooks on this list, but like I know that I'm not going to declutter notebooks. Okay, that's a lie. I think I have one notebook that I'm going to declutter, but technically it's a journal, so I don't think it counts. And I'll go get it for you so you can see which one it is. But let's see. So this is the one that I'm planning on decluttering. It is a Linda Tong planner, volume 3. And this one was given to me at Go Wild last year, which were, as a side note, the fact that they give you printed planners at Go Wild, or like dated planners is what I mean, that don't start in a date after when Go Wild is, it kind of irks me. Like, it kind of feels like, oh, hey, we had too much stock and now we're just giving it away to the people at Go Wild. Like, it's probably not the case, but still. And like, it still gives you the opportunity to like test the product and whatever and stuff like this. But like, this one is from January to December 2023. We were there in March of 2023. So you've already got 2 months in this that you can't use. And I'm like, anyways, whatever. But I was going to use this for a review on the channel kind of a thing. Didn't get around to it, notably. And thus now it's like a year out of date. So I don't feel good about reviewing this to be like, hey, this is what a Linda Tong planner look like, because like maybe that's not what it looks like anymore. But this is effectively like a pre-decorated bullet journal, which like that I can get behind. The idea of a printed bullet journal would be really good for some people who just need that. They like it to be decorative, but they don't want to do it themselves. But there is just so many things about this that I don't like. so it doesn't really work out. Or at least I wouldn't use it. I already knew I wouldn't use it, but, like, I don't know how easy it is for you guys to see it. I'll try and show you. But can you see where the dot grid is versus the numbers on this calendar? I could not. I couldn't. It would irk the ever-loving heck out of me because none of those numbers are actually central in their boxes. Except for, like, maybe 25. The 25 on that calendar is central in the box, but every other number is either too low in the box or, like, literally between the dot grid or just I don't know. I mean, part of the reason why I like making things myself is so that then they're, like, aligned properly. But, like, similar idea with this one doesn't actually have any dot grids, but, like, this one, the lines aren't on the dot grid. They're, like, between the dot grid, and for somebody, nobody cares. Like, yeah, that's right. For somebody out there, they're just like, "I don't care that it doesn't align with the dot grid, like, I love that it's already set up for myself. I love that I didn't have to draw it out myself. I love that it's got a little bit of decoration and stuff." But for me, I could not. I could not. And, for some of them, it doesn't really matter. Like, for this one, it doesn't really matter. This is just a dot grid page. It's a dot grid page. This one, it doesn't matter. But then, like, when you get to the ones where it's like a calendar and the calendar boxes aren't aligned, nah, bruh. So, yeah, it would be one of those things, like, I do a review for the channel and then I just be really super negative about it. But that's the thing, because this journal is no longer for this year, I don't know if that's still the way that they're made. Also, some of these weeklies, like, I understand like, changing up the weekly and, like, having it look a little different each time and stuff because I think that that's a bit of fun, but the amount of space that you have in some of these, I'm like, "Where are you writing? Like, where is the space to write here?" But this is also coming from somebody who has, like, a laundry list of tasks to do some days, and then some days are actually quite small and stuff, but, I mean, it wasn't. It kinda went over the page, but I have, like, this much stuff to write on a day that I have that much space. Yeah, yeah, nah. So, I think it's one of those, like, cool in theory, but I just wish the execution of this was a lot better. Not that this was supposed to be a review video for this, but I don't wanna look at it. So this one's going out. This one's also it's 120 GSM with 240 pages, which, like, to make it this kind of size, something that's, like, compact and fits the full year, it makes sense that it's 120 GSM. I prefer 160. But, yeah, so this notebook is going to be leaving my collection. Super cute in theory, but not so cute in practice. Or at least not for me. Not for me. So I'm getting rid of that one, but I don't think I'm gonna get rid of any other, like, blank notebooks because I love them. Like, so if we go back to my list, there we go. I got rid of one notebook. I know that Vogel wants to do some decluttering while he's on leave because he's gonna be having a little bit of time off when I get back from my trip, and he wanted to do some decluttering then. So I'm kind of saving some of my decluttering work to do with him, but yeah, we'll see what else I managed to get rid of. I've gotten rid of some things. Let's see, question, or more like a statement, but I'm still gonna put it out here anyways. So yes, this is the Sarasa mark-on pen. It's actually quite cool. I quite like it. The idea behind this one is that it's supposed to be the kind of thing that, like, you can write and then highlight over the top of, and I have found that you technically can do that. This paper doesn't necessarily make it as viable, I think, as other notebook papers do, but it has been helpful. It has saved me at least once when I was doing my mid-month review because I didn't know if I wanted to do every highlighted line or second line highlighted. If I had tried to highlight over these two here with my regular, like, Papermate Inkjoy pen, that would have been quite a mess. I don't know if you can really see it. It does have a slight smudging to it, like on newsletter in particular, but it's not big enough to really, really bother me. And I think that's more so down to the paper rather than the pen itself. But it's been a good one to use. I have recently acquired another one because I've been enjoying using it. But the funny thing is that because this pen, like the actual ball, I guess, itself, is thinner than I'm used to. This writing looks a lot smaller than I'm used to, and it's funny because I've like playing around with this pen in here, which is thinner than I'm used to. But then in my reading journal, for instance, that one has the point 0.7 ink joy, so the writing on here is thicker. And then in my mock setups and whatever in this journal where I've been doing the like fake fill in the gaps kind of writing and stuff, this writing is really, really thin because it's one of those Jetstream tiny ass pen, whatever it is. I don't know what it's called, but it's super, super needlepoint, very, very thin. This has been very interesting. But I also like the fact that you can use the difference in the pen weight to distinguish between different things. So it's like this is like a header versus like body text and stuff like that. You haven't changed your actual lettering style. You're just using a different pen, which I think is kind of cool. But anyhow, yeah, very useful for taking notes and highlighting over and stuff. And I think that is a really good use for it. I also find that it dries quicker, which is part of the reason why I've been using it. It does dry quicker than the Ink Joy, and that's been nice because this paper I feel like is slightly coated. Even though I've spoken to a couple people from A&O and they said, "Oh no, the paper shouldn't have changed." And I'm like, "Well, I don't know if your paper's trying to gaslight me or what, but it certainly feels different, or rather, it behaves different. I guess is probably a better term for it. Like the amount of smudging that I get in this one versus what I've got in previous A&Os with like the same materials, certainly different. To the extent where I'm like not too sure what journal I want to use next year. I've been trying not to think about it because we still have we've got a decent chunk of this year left. We've still got 4 months. Yeah, 4 months. So, calling the race now, it seems a little bit silly. But then I start thinking about like, okay, you're going to be setting your journal up at the end of October though, because I usually start at least planning out what I want to include then so that I can have the video out by kind of early November. Not super early November, but early-ish in November. First third kind of a thing. And it's like, well, you need to know what notebook you're going to use so that then you can start planning the structure of your layouts. Like, are you going A5? Are you going with a different size? I was thinking possibly, like, again, this is all just toying around with ideas because I've done my kind of size journey of like testing the different sizes of notebooks, like square, travelers, whatever. Maybe I could do different paper types. Like that could be the thing that I start trialing next year because I know I've done a Neapolitan before. But that was also my second A&O journal, and it was also in a year that I was in a big kind of journal slump. So I don't think it was necessarily the best representation of what a Neapolitan could be. So I was kind of tempted to maybe try a Neapolitan again, or maybe try a craft paper notebook. I was even like got to the extent of musing with maybe I do a blackout notebook. I'm like, Jessica, come on. You know the black paper is the nemesis because gel pens are the nemesis. So I don't think it'll be a blackout one, but I do love the way that blackout notebooks look. I think it's Savannah Scribbles. I feel like that might not even be the right person. I don't know. Somebody that over on Instagram and YouTube and such, they do really cool blackout journal notebook kind of work. And I'm just like, oh, it's beautiful and I want to do it. But we'll see what happens. So what I have been doing for my self-care routines though is yeah, no, Monica's just like, Neapolitan, you say? Because last time I got a Neapolitan, it was at the recommendation of Monica, and then she felt bad because I was just having a rough journal time. Hello. So I don't know. I think it would be a fun trial because I've learned a lot. I've come a distance in my journaling journey. Maybe it would be fun. But so for self-care routines, I have been trying to total up how much I've done for each of them for each of the weeks. So I might just put a little thing here so I can focus on the correct ones. So this guy has 6, completion rate of 6 out of 7, not too bad. Then the next one has 6. Next one has 6. Oh my gosh. That one's 7. That one's been going quite well, which is nice because I know that when I don't focus on it, it doesn't happen. The next one is 7. Then we have 5. So that one's all about making a plan at the start of the day so I know what I'm doing, which I have done today. So check that off. 6 and then 7, which has also been happening, which is good. And then let's see, where were we? I lost my place. 6, yep. So that's finishing work by 7 o'clock. 7, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Oof, that's about getting to bed at the right amount, like right hour of the day. Good, the right hour. So the notepad didn't have black paper in it. Which notepad was this? I think that, and do not quote me on this, but in the Bring Back the Favorites, they might be bringing back the Neapolitan notepad because it's certainly a favorite. Or is it a Neapolitan journal? I can't remember. I feel like the word Neapolitan was thrown around. I feel like that feels familiar. But anywho. Yeah, you got an A6 craft paper book in one of the mystery buys. Yeah, I just think it's like I love craft paper. I think that when people do like just black and white on craft paper, it just looks so cool. And so I'd be tempted to try around with it. But I do technically have a pink paper notebook. And I'd be like, oh, maybe I could do that kind of thing. But I'm like, do I really want a pink notebook? I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see. You have the Inkjoy Brights, but you haven't tried them on black paper yet? Yeah, I have seen the pens. I don't have the pens, but they look kind of cool. I don't usually work with opaque gel pens because, I mean, technically speaking, like an Inkjoy gel pen, for instance, like the Papermate Inkjoy gel pen is a gel pen and is my favorite writing pen. But I also say the gel pens are my nemesis. When I say that, though, I mean opaque gel pens are my nemesis. The ones that have a tendency to transfer between journal pages even after they're dry. Those are the ones that are a nemesis. But working our way backwards. So we do have a live stream today, if you haven't noticed, because we're literally here together being live, or you're here on the replay, when you still count. So there's just like journal and chill. So we'll just do a PWM, plan with me. We can check that off. Laundry for today has started, so we can check that off. Need to draw the giveaway and then announce the giveaway. Haven't done that yet. The notebook tour happened. It was technically early, but I'll just check it off because, I mean, the video happened. It's fine. Let's see. YouTube meeting. That one got cancelled. Laundry happened. The student bouger edit. I started it, so I'll check it off anyways. I need my dot marker because I have started adding some other things in here. Let's see. That one there. Go-to pens. Yeah, I know, right? Go-to pens you don't have. Yeah, I it's only because I know that those ones are the kind of opaque ones, and that means that I probably wouldn't use them as much. But let's see what else. We had a gaming evening, so gaming social. Vogel call it. Come on, Vogel and I call it a gaming social when we're both playing games, but we're not playing the same game. So I was sitting on the couch playing Xbox, and he was playing his Switch. We're just kind of sitting in each other's company. We call that a gaming social. See? And we also had some editing time, filming time. Filming, editing. And I mean, like, do I need to fill this in after the fact like this? Not really, but I kind of like the fact that it's a record. So I'll have it here. Done those ones. Check them all off. I also started noting, like, hey, you were sick, mainly because I started putting all of these lines through things. I'm like, oh, I'll come back to this eventually and be like, why do you have all of these things crossed out? And it's just a little note to remind myself, like, hey, you weren't well. And that's kind of why it happened the way it happened. Doesn't need to be fully up to date, just some things, but what the podcast editing that we have here, it took such a long time because like podcast editing already takes me a long time because the amount of time it takes to film them is long, and I just want to make sure that I'm trimming at the right place, giving people balance in terms of who's on screen at any given time, that kind of stuff. But this one in particular, because Mark was recording away from his typical location, it meant that his audio was completely out of sync with his mouth, and I'm like, "Absolutely not, I won't have it." So I had to go through his footage just individually and sync his mouth movements up with his audio, which wasn't consistently, like, out in the same direction. It wasn't, like, consistently he was kind of talking and then the sound came in. It was, like, half and half. There was somewhere the sound would come in and then he'd start talking, and then there was somewhere he'd be talking and then the sound would come in, and I was just like, "No. No, 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 no." So I went through, trimmed everything up so that then I could actually align everything correctly. And then because his audio or like video footage file was wrong, it meant that the combined one that has a side by side, because that's a piece that gets spat out by the recording software we use, that was wrong too. So there'd be parts where like he'd just start talking over the top of me or whatever. It was so like a mess. So instead of using that one, I had to actually just lay our two clips next to each other and just like kind of split screen it and stuff. And it was just, yeah. Oh my god. I don't like editing in general, but these kind of things make me like it even less. Let's see. Do you know of any 1.6 millimeter pens that aren't microns? Yes, but I don't think they're 1.6. I think they're 1.5, but Faber-Castell has 1.5s. But they're like a felt tip marker kind of pen. I don't know if that's what the micron ones are like because I don't have the micron ones that are 1.6, sorry. But Faber-Castell has at least a 1.5, if that helps. Let's see. Yeah, real-time body doubling with me. Oh, yeah. I'm glad to have you here. So, let's see. I think that this is looking fairly okay. The plan with me, like that one's done, and sub box sneaks are on here as well. Memory keeping is getting pushed forward because I wasn't able to get that one sorted. Still gonna do it, just not at this point in time. I don't know what to add here in terms of like, I don't know, events, tasks, and such for being away at my parents because I'm not too sure what we're doing on each day. So I'm going to kind of hold off on that. I'll be taking this journal with me. I just won't use it like super, super lots. I usually check in with it maybe once or twice, but it's not like a big thing. Good question. Does Archer and Olive have a winter release every year? They do, but it's not necessarily winter themed. So last year we had the Nostalgia Collection, I think. I think that was last year. Yeah. Which was notebooks like this one, and the one with the daisies and stuff like that. So that was a bit of fun. Previously, though, we have had like winter themed ones, but you know, sometimes it's nice to have a seasonal release that isn't seasonally themed. But Subbox sneaks are coming this week. Yeah. Now, let's think. Is there anything else to add here? Probably just migrating this one forward. Because it's still going to happen, but it's not going to happen this week unless I manage to figure it out today. But I probably won't be able to do that, to be honest. It's the kind of thing that like I don't really mind having a live stream where my voice doesn't sound quite right, I guess, because it's very real life. You know, we're hanging together, it's chill. But in terms of like a pre-recorded video where I go through and edit it and stuff like that, when my voice doesn't sound right, it does make it very unpleasant for me to listen back to, to actually do the editing. It's hard, right? Because like when I'm talking to somebody else, oftentimes, unless it's somebody that I talk to a lot, I don't notice when they sound congested or snuffly or anything like that. I'm like, oh, that's just your voice. Unless it's someone that I do speak to quite a lot, which means that like listening back to my own voice, I can hear when I sound congested, but I don't necessarily hear it when I listen to other people's videos. So you could almost go like, well, hey, Jess, if you don't notice it in other people's videos, then maybe people wouldn't mind it or notice it in yours. I'm like, yeah, but I'm the one who has to edit it and it sounds awful. So I can't do it. I can't do it. So I'm just like, okay, we'll hold off on that one. But all good. So these kind of things haven't really happened, so I'm not going to check them off. I gave myself quite a large space for my actions list this time, but a lot of the actions that I would have had on here got sequestered away into that office project, because this one is effectively a goal that I'm working on. I just decided to set up a specific page for it. So I have been using this list for all of the things that would have been put on the actions list. Based on that idea, I decided that for next month and the action list that I have there, I just made the space that I'm using a decent amount smaller because I will also have a projects layout where I put that kind of thing. Let's see. Stamps. Do you know any creators I could check out? People that I like for stamping, that would be Heber of My Little Journal. She does a lot of stamp work, which looks really cool. Natasha Miller Creates. She does a lot of stamp work too. Tori of Tori Ramos Designs does a lot of stamp work. Those are my 3 that I would probably go to for stamping. Erin uses stamps. Erin uses stamps, but Erin is a lot more like eclectic in what she uses, and like not in a bad way. Like we love Erin. She's a freaking gem. But I find that like Tori uses stamps more consistently. Heber uses stamps like hella. Like that's her thing. Like she sells stamps. She uses a lot of them. And who was the other one I said? Natasha. She uses a lot of stamps. A lot of her headers are done with stamps and such. So those would be people that I would check out for people who do stamping in a journal in particular. But so for this one, I don't think I have anything specific to add. Like we've got memories in terms of the reading retreat. We can also put down that we had games day at Brothers, which was good. Games day with Matt and Jonga. And GA. And then we also had lunch out. That was for like a little birthday celebration for brother. There we go. For brother. And then wins, I guess, like, so I've put things like the office electrical ports, and then like growth from the summer creative retreat was good as well. There are going to be other ones, but I think I just need to like rack my brain a little bit more than I can like warrant doing right now. We also have like my projects list here, which I've been kind of working on. The office PowerPoints done. Check that one off. Yay. 5-year journal overviews. I haven't done. 101 things list. Henry logging. Just like a lot of these I have neglected. Okay. Epic accountability. We need to go put that one in as well as a thing to do today. Epic accountability. If you're like, what the heck is that? So Epic is my goal course. So Epic is like a, what's the word? Acronym? Anagram. Acronym. Accountability. And in our little Epic Goals Club kind of thing, so the people who have signed up to kind of be accountability partners and such and, work on goals together and whatnot, every week at the start of the week, we have a post that goes up to say like, hey, what are you working on today? What do you want us to hold you accountable to? So I need to make sure that post has either come out or comes out today. I can't remember if I already scheduled it. Ugh, sick brain. And then make sure that I go and hold both myself and others accountable to the things that they said they were going to do. Yes. So that's on my list. This is looking cute. I don't have anything else to add in the monthly section, but it would probably be good to go and check in with my annual stuff to make sure that there's things in here. I'm not going to fill this one in. I usually fill this one in at the end of the month more than anything else, so that one doesn't need any work. But this one doesn't need anything added to it just now. This one needs to be updated. So hangout happened. Then the stuff for the hangout happened. Check. Team pick vote. That one's coming out. Stream reminder, release schedule. Release schedule's been done, but I might need to recheck it. So I'm just gonna put these ones in before I check it off fully. And that's all good. Then we have my email writing checklist. So effectively, I just give myself like the topic that I'm going to write and then all of the different steps that I need to take to write that email newsletter. If you're not part of my newsletter, I would love to have you with us. It would be so great. I think it's the first link in the description box. You can sign up. We just have like a little weekly, it's like an idea share effectively. So the way that I think about it in terms of the structuring of the email, there's usually like a little blurb at the start that kind of like, leads into why we're talking about what we're talking about. Then we have what the idea is. Usually it's something around like productivity, creativity, that kind of a thing. We explain that, unpack that a little bit, like why is this important? What do I mean by this? And then some actionable steps to how you can actually use this idea in your everyday life. So that's kind of what it is. It's just another little bit of fun. I've been enjoying it. So we can check those ones off. We did do that one last time. I don't think I did it the time before. There we go. Not necessarily very good at actually checking things off of the list, but they do get done. You need to figure out your actions for this week. Yeah, I am probably not really going to have very many actions this week, given the fact that I'm going to be away. But helping my parents move is technically, a soft goal, so I guess that kind of counts. Let's see. Things that we have been doing. Some of this actually has all gotten really jumbled around, so I'm not going to look at it right now. I'm going to check this one off because that one's at least happened. But some of them have happened. Some of them have gotten moved to next month. Then I have new ones from next month that are coming into this list. But this is effectively the same idea as we had for the newsletter. It's just for my video content. So what is the video? All of the steps to do in working on and releasing the video and just checking each of those off. Obviously, some of them don't have editing. For instance, like a live stream doesn't really have editing. So those ones get a little dot anytime I don't have to do the task. And anywhere that I would have liked to have done the task, but I didn't do it, that gets a line instead. So a dot to say don't need to do it, and a line to say probably shoulda, woulda, coulda, but didn't. Videos, Planet Pals podcast. This entire layout I'm just neglecting. We're just going to ignore it. Just don't even look at it because I have decided to stop doing this. Like the challenge is still there. People can still partake in it, but the actual kind of like posting of explanations for each of the steps, I've stepped away from doing that because it was more it always feels bad to say it was more effort than it was worth, but it kind of was more effort than it was worth. The ROI, like return on investment of that is lower, but yeah, it is what it is. And not everything that we start or try works out. That's okay. So scheduling of that one happened, uploaded it to YouTube, uploaded it to Spotify. Didn't do that one. Didn't do that one. That's all right. Second viewing, yes. Watched that back. All good. And then we're on to episode 13. So episode 13 of the Planet Pals podcast was supposed to be coming out next week, but I wasn't well enough to film it. So it's probably going to come out beyond that. Still need to write things in here. Not today. Date plans. We have started to plan out our terrarium making, which is exciting. But that's all for my start of journal pages, which is looking pretty good. Love that. Alrighty, team. We are taking a 2-minute break. So if you need to stretch your legs, get a snack, go top up your drink, anything like that, this is your time to do it. We will be back in approximately 2 minutes. I'm going to set a 5-minute timer because I don't have a 2-minute timer on here, but I will see you very soon. I really just feel like I wanna let the timer run out now, even though I said it was gonna be 2 minutes. I really need to make sure I upload a 2-minute timer in here, 'cause I got a 5 and I've got a 10, but oh well, it's not that bad, right? But do you think we've had enough of a break? I think we probably have. Alright, let's see. So, can I remember how to stop the video? Absolutely not. There we go, that's better. But yeah, my washing was done. I'm like, I really need to go and like sort that out because otherwise what happens so often when it comes to, you know, going away and such and getting my stuff packed, I like to do my laundry effectively the day I need to pack. Um, and I always end up leaving it to the afternoon, which is so foolish because then by the time it's actually dried, it's like 8 o'clock at night and I'm packing. I'm like, I don't want to be packing right now. That's stressful. But it's cool. So other journals that I still need to work in, for one, my reading journal. I like have to. I mean, it's an enjoyable thing. I enjoy working in here. But if you're changing up your task, let me know what you're up to. If you're still on the same task, still let me know what you're up to because my memory is shot and I forget things. But effectively in this one, I have been doing this month deck of TBR-a-thon, which has been a lot of fun. So the general gist of it is that you have a deck of cards and you pull a card, and then depending on what the card is, you have the different prompts for what to read. So I have been very much aiming to only go with 5-point reads. So that means that for any of the cards that I'm pulling, I'm picking the hardest option in terms of the prompt that we're given, and then trying to fulfill that. And I've been writing down what I've been reading over here. So for this one, we are saying goodbye to the Sarasa Markon because I don't use that in this journal. If I have it out on my desk, I will completely forget. So I'll put that one away. Let's say you're starting your planning. Yay, exciting. You're crocheting. I want to learn how to crochet. It's not a right now me job, but it's something that I would like to learn how to do. I just put the heater on, but I'm not sure if it's the heater or if it's the cooler. So I'm going to go check that because it got too hot the other day and I had to put the cooler on, but I'm like, it's freezing right now. Oh my God, it's on cold. Oh, no. Oh dear. Oh my gosh, that could have been terrible. I'm like, you're just compounding your problem right now. It's okay. We're all right. But, oh, excellent. Lots of crocheting. They inspired you, so you're setting up your first bullet journal. Oh my gosh, how exciting. I hope that you love it. I hope that it turns into a very positive tool for you because I know that's what mine is. You're doodling, doing some dumb fun decision in your September setup. I love it. What is this pen? This one is the Papermate Inkjoy. I think that this is running out. Or at least it looks like it is. Oh dear. Oh no. Look at how much that actually has left in it. I might need to go and get another one. There we go. Just black out for a second, but yeah, very, very near shot. So might need to find myself a top up of those, but thankfully I have quite a few of them. Yeah, heater, it's 100 after that. Yeah, it's not that warm here today. My hand is icy. So I would like to have the heater on here. I'm literally sitting here with my hoodie on and my slippers, and I'm in my PJ pants because I've decided I wanted to wash all of my clothes so that I can take as many of them as possible on my trip because I effectively my wardrobe has enough clothes for like 1 week and a day, so about 8 days. That means that when I go away for a week, I take pretty much all of my clothes. And that means that when it comes to time like to packing and such, I need to wash everything and then wear something kind of plebby around the house, which is it's all good. So I went to go and change my laundry over, walk up the stairs, and I was like, oh, you look so cute in your PJs. I'm like, oh my God, stop it, you're making me blush. He's like, it's nice to see you in color because I always wear black, but my PJ pants are pink with little penguins on them. They're very cute. But need to remember, what book was this? I just read it. Red, white, and royal blue. What card was it? It was for an ace. Ace. So when you pull an ace, it's a host pick. So you go over to the host's YouTube channel and see what they recently picked. They pulled a jack, so I went for 5 points for a color in the title. 5 points color in the title. So that one was an ace of clubs. I feel like it was an ace of clubs. It was not an ace of spades, which is always the default thing to try and say in that I've been trying to draw the little icon. It doesn't turn out quite so well. I don't know if you can see my beautiful attempt. I tried. It looks a little bit messy, but it's cool. I know what I meant. So that was a 5-pointer, and that was red, white, and royal blue. I'm tempted to take my reading journal with me to my parents' place just so that I have, like, something to kind of do in my downtime, but I've also been wanting to read more, so I'm like, do I want to take this or do I just want to take my iPad and read or But yeah, he lost track of time and now you're printing some of the decorations. Yep, nice. Let's see. Into your bullet journal. Love it. Yeah, always trying to do these things the night before. I have found that, like, the last 2 times that I've gone in terms of my night before ritual, trying to get to bed early, haha, no, because I just end up putting my laundry on too late. It's a choice, but it's cool. So this is what we've just got now, but for our readathon day or reading retreat, as I like to call it, where we just kind of get together, we have snacks, we read, it's a good time. For that one, we all pulled some cards ahead of time so that we knew what to bring along to reading retreat, so that we didn't rock up and then not have enough to read or, like, not have the appropriate books for the cards and, like, all of that kind of thing. So we all pulled 5 cards. I say we all. Scotty isn't actually doing Deck of TBR-a-thon, so Rachel, Monica, and I all pulled 5 cards and then assigned books to those. Because it's my house, it wasn't really as big a deal for me, but for the other 2 who, like, coming to my house, to make sure that they had the books that they needed to do that ahead of time. But I wrote down what it was I was going to read on a slip of paper, kind of like I'm trying to use this notepad up because I've had it for quite a while. So I wrote it on one of those, and then I dropped the paper into my maple syrup because I had pancakes. So I didn't want to put it back in my journal because that would be kind of messy. I think I don't think I slipped it back in here because I was just gonna end up with, like, sticky pages. I'm like, that's not super nice. So I can't remember from that what I pulled, but I think I might have screenshot them. So let's go see. Yeah. See, this is me, like, screenshotting it and saying then what I actually decided to use and drawing a little thing here. So it was an Ace of Clubs. Well, that's good. At least I remember that. But yeah, so we had an 8 of hearts that I pulled and a 7 of clubs as well. But let's say an 8 is book in a series. And for that, you can complete a series for 5 points. But the way that they've been kind of treating that is that if you cannot read any more of the series because it hasn't been released, that counts as finishing a series. So I was thinking maybe I'd use Iron Flame, because even though there is another book in that series that's going to be coming out, it hasn't come out yet. So by their rules, technically, I am finishing a series or finishing up to, like, where I can be in a series. So I might use that one because I've been meaning to read and or finish that. So that means it's an 8 of hearts. We'll put that on here. 8 of hearts. Will I get it done before the end of the month? Maybe. So for 5 points, because 5 pointers are all we're gonna have for this. I was taking this challenge up because I was like, oh, it looks kind of chill. Like, it doesn't look like it's gonna be too strenuous, I suppose, to do. But I I then decided to put myself on hard mode and only pick 5 pointers. So let's see. Iron Flame in here. Flame. There we go. Yeah, Leah, always vote yes to Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. Nice. Yeah, I read the first one the month before last month. Crickets, who knows? I think it might have been the month before last. And then I started a buddy read of When the Moon Hatched, with some friends because it's a buddy read. This book edged me towards a reading slump. So I didn't necessarily get back to Iron Flame and thus have not read it. But at least I read A Soul to Keep, and that one was a lot of fun. That one was our book club read, actually. That was a good book. I enjoyed it. I mean, like, it's not like a good book, but it was a fun book. I had a lot of enjoyment reading the book. Are we going to be joining in for the Magical Readathon? Yes, I have been desperately checking G's YouTube channel to see when she's going to release the full lineup of prompts. Because okay, story time. My friend Rachel used to have an Xbox when I didn't, and she had a game called Fable 2. And I really loved Fable 2. I thought it was a lot of fun. I really loved the kind of like, story element of it or whatever. And pretty much anytime I went over to her place and we decided to just like hang out for the day or whatever, I would elect to play Fable 2. But every time I'd come back, I wouldn't remember how to play. So I would start again because I'm like, then you go through the tutorial again and it's all good. The actual start of that game, though, takes you quite a while, or at least it took me quite a while. So I got through the first town, maybe up to the first, like, I don't know, underground to-me type thing, so many times. Like, 10 times, something stupid like that. That is how I treat Magical Readathon. Every time I say I'm going to do Magical Readathon, I start again because I don't remember how it works. And I feel like I didn't do my last character justice because I said I was going to start and I like set up my character and started setting up my pages and then didn't follow through with my reading. And I'm like, well, I don't want them to just kind of flunk out every year. So I'll just start a new character. So that's what I'm doing this time around. But I am more determined. I think that Deck of TBR-a-thon is kind of what's the word? Like, eased me into it. I really like the idea of setting up a page or a layout in my journal dedicated to the readathon. So I'm gonna be doing the same thing for that. I just need to actually go through and look at the materials and stuff because I don't really understand how it works. Like, I know that you have your character and your character has like a calling, and then depending on the calling or something, you have a set of classes, and then depending on the set of classes, you have to read a certain. I don't know how it works. So I'm going to be making a new character in that. If you guys want to see that process, like if you think it would be a bit of fun to, set it up in the reading journal and like plan out the character and stuff like that, let me know. Maybe we'll do it as a live stream so that I actually, have the accountability to do it. We can set our pages up together because I think it'd be a lot of fun. I think the thing that I really like about that style of readathon though, is that it is individual based kind of a thing, and it is very much like a choose your own adventure. It can be as as hardcore or as easy as you want it to be. Like, I know that there are some callings that have quite small lists of amount of books that you need to read in order to play the game, and then there are other ones where you have to read quite a lot of books. So I think that's kind of fun. I really like that element to it. I like that it's kind of, it feels a little bit like D&D, kind of, you've got your character and you're like leveling them up and stuff and reading stuff and whatever. Yeah, you'll also have an entire chat here to help explain it to you. Yes, that is what I would also very much appreciate because I love the idea of it. I just feel like I need to really let myself get into it so that I know how I would set that stuff up. Like, in terms of Deck of TBR-a-thon, that one was like kind of, in my mind, kind of easy because it's literally, here's the deck of cards, here are the prompts, you pull it, you read a book kind of a thing. So I just set up like, here's the list of prompts, here are the rules. I had an extra space, so I put the recruits in here, and then we've just got my reading list. I've been very impressed with how many books I've managed to read this month using this as kind of like an incentive to keep going. I think that would be a lot of fun to do something similar for the Magical Readathon. Can you link it, please? Which one did you want to link to? Did you want to link to the Deck of TBR-a-thon, or did you want to link to the Magical Readathon? Because the Magical Readathon prompts, from my understanding, have not been released yet, but they're over on Book Roast's channel. So that would be, let's see, Book Roast. This is the way. This is the way. Yep. Yeah, I don't think it's actually kind of like D&D specifically, but it's more like you make your own character and stuff, and that's kind of where it gives me that kind of like a vibe about it. But I know that there are a lot of different readathons and reading challenges and stuff that are based on a whole bunch of different things. I think that technically speaking, this one started off as like a Harry Potter inspired one, like originally, which it isn't anymore. But originally, I think it started off as a Harry Potter one. But it's very much developed into like her own world, with her own kind of set of systems and rules and stuff like that. But she's done a really good job of it, actually. I think it's a very impressive thing. And I know that people get a lot of enjoyment out of it, and I would like to get the same level of enjoyment, so I would like to do it. But in terms of stuff in here, though, I am pleased to report that my wherever he is, I don't remember what the order of pages is in this journal, so it's always really hard to find stuff. For my reading challenges for this year, my book bingos in particular, I finished one of my boards. Tiny fireworks. Pew, 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 pew. So that was good. Finished that one. Technically speaking, I have stuff to fill in here as well, because I've read like a bunch of books recently, so I think that wasn't worth finishing. I definitely have one of those, so we can color that one in. That one's the wrong color pen. I need to make sure I use the right color pen, because although what is it, 990 and 942 kind of look similar, I don't know if you can see where I've used the wrong colored pen on here, but it kind of sticks out. But anywho, so it wasn't worth finishing. We do have a couple of those. One of those. Gosh, not too many, please. I will think that for next year, in terms of doing a book bingo, I want to make everything on the bingo board positive rather than having negative ones. So, for instance, the ones that I found hardest to fill in here, or have been finding hardest to fill in here, were strongly considered DNFing and wasn't worth finishing, because they're both like kind of the same thing. So I don't really want to have that much negativity on here. So strongly considered DNFing was the artist way, and it wasn't worth finishing. I feel like that should be the artist's way, because that book was so dry. Let's see. Negative Nelly, that is Jess. Now, obviously, this is my own opinion, and just because I didn't like this book doesn't mean that you won't like this book. But I just found that it didn't gel with me. It just didn't gel with me. So this one I'm going to put down as When the Moon Hatched. Which is a bummer, because I would have liked to have enjoyed it more. I mean, technically speaking, if I were going to do this, I would actually switch these two. Like, I think that strongly considered DNFing versus wasn't worth finishing, like The Artist's Way, I did dislike more than When the Moon Hatched. But I don't often embark on books that I am not going to finish. Yeah, you DNF The Artist's Way. It was bad. I'm glad that I'm not alone in this, because people rave about that book. They are so enthusiastic about, like, oh, this changed my life and rah rah. And I'm like, I'm like so glad for you. I'm like so happy for you. But I just found it very painful to read. Like, I know that she starts off by saying, like, hey, just because I talk about creativity in a very spiritual way, like, doesn't mean it has to be some kind of, like, like singular godlike entity or something like that I'm referring to. So, interpret that how you will, type of a thing. So I appreciated that she gave that kind of proviso at the start, but it was just very dry, I guess. I feel like there are tangible things that you can do, and it would be very interesting to try it out as a system, but I did not gel with the way that she was writing about it, kind of thing. It didn't really, work for me, but it's cool. It's fine. I'd be interested to take some of the tips and the teachings and stuff out of that and try and apply them. But yeah, what Tombow color is for the bingo board? I personally use 990 for the bingo board. Typically, I use 990 for pretty much all of this journal. So anytime I have second line highlights, or even these lines in here, That just is me going over multiple times with 990, like all of that, 990. But some of these I accidentally pick up the wrong pen and I've colored it in. And I know people say like, oh, the variation's nice and stuff. It is if it's intentional kind of a thing. I find that I prefer there to be variation in here based on how many times I've gone over with the pen rather than the hue. Because 990 is like if we called 990 like base tan, 942 is more red tone. And if I don't use it kind of like I'm going to say consistently, that's not what I mean, but if I don't use it in more than one box, it ends up looking weirder. Yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky. I still filled in the bingo board, so I'm still happy. But yeah, let's say you're reading The Artist's Way at the moment and you think it's excessive. The creativity equals God's gift and being creative equals worshiping God. It is slightly annoying. Yeah, it's just like I can understand that, and I am so supportive of people finding their creativity that way and thinking of their creativity that way. And if it works for you, it's such a beautiful thing. But that's not how I think of my creativity. I think that, yeah, just the way that it's spoken about in that book, like, is not the way that I think about it, and thus it made it kind of hard to gel with. But then it's also like I feel like a lot of points in that book were very labored, and it was like elaborated on beyond what was necessary, and that made it hard to kind of just like get through it. So I'm like, meh. But in terms of other books, we have adding to my favorites list and Squee, which I have totally done recently in a book, but I find the easiest way to fill in these bingo boards is actually to just pull up my my spreadsheet that I have of my reads and go through it that way, because otherwise I can't remember what I've read. So I'm going to pull up a beautifully non-aesthetic little board here that has my stuff on it, and you can kind of see what it looks like. I have been meaning to go through and make this just a little more attractive, but I haven't gotten there yet. So this is my very ugly little document. It doesn't even have a title, like it doesn't even have a header. And I only recently started writing down authors and notes and genres and stuff because I was kind of thinking like, oh, maybe you'd want to keep track of that information. But let's see. So in my little spreadsheet, which I'll zoom in a little bit so you can kind of see, we have date finished is what we'll sort by. Scroll back down. Apologies about all the scrolling. So recent reads, we had Red, White, and Royal Blue, which was probably one of my Squee books, but also it's quite a high-rated book. So I'm looking for quite a high-rated book to put in my potential new favorites. I really liked The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. I thought it was a lot of fun. But then we also have Fourth Wing, but I think I might have already included Fourth Wing on here. Let's see. What have I put Fourth Wing down for possibly best of the year because I really did enjoy that one. So I might hold off on the possibly a favorite because I might have another read that I do this year that I like even more. Have I added? Yeah, I've already added A Curse for True Love. And where's the Ballad of Never After? Have I not put that in here? 5-star read. Oh no, there it is. The Ballad for Never After, or of Never After, is my emotions. But it was really good. I know that, yeah, G does have a core pile log spreadsheet in the G drive, but I like Excel enough to make my own. This is the general gist of it. I also know that a lot of the time with these reading spreadsheets and stuff that are made by people who are readers, they have a lot more detail in theirs than I need in mine. I just need to make mine look a little bit nicer because right now it's a little bit of a mess. I've also actually been thinking of getting rid of core pile and not doing it anymore. I'm going to do it for the rest of this year, but I just don't think that it actually gives me an accurate representation of what the book actually should be in terms of its rating for me. So for instance, like if we look at The Artist's Way, yeah, so all of these scores are out of 5. So we have like 3.5 for C, which is credibility, A for accessibility, 2.5, writing was a 2, P is for payoff, 3.5, I was for individuality because I haven't read a book about creativity before, so that probably made the score a little higher. 3.5 for logic, and then a 1 for enjoyment. But then when you average that out, that's a 3 out of 5 for the rating. And I'm like, I don't think that, like, I to the extent I didn't feel good about giving it a 3. So I actually put it down as a 2 because I felt like that was more representative of what my rating for that book actually should be. So I'm hoping that next year I can actually develop my own rating system that more heavily weights enjoyment, because that's why I read. I read for enjoyment. So that should be where the majority of my score is kind of, or like what the majority of my score is dictated by or based on. So I'm going to tweak this, play around with it, come up with my own rating system possibly. But so Red, White, and Royal Blue, it wasn't necessarily a favorite because I mean, like, you know, it only quote got 4.36 out of 5. Again, based on this rating scale, but technically speaking, the rating for enjoyment was quite high. But that one was definitely my squee book. Squee! So we can put that down for that because it was cute. It hasn't given me a book hangover though. I haven't had a book hangover this year, which is probably a good thing. Like, you know, I don't actually enjoy having a book hangover because it just means that I can't move on to a new story because I'm too like emotional damage. I'm too caught up in another story. But yeah, enjoyment should weigh higher. So I was kind of thinking I would maybe possibly go to a system where if you have, you know, your 5 stars or whatever, then maybe 2.5 stars is just enjoyment. So then you can effectively think about it in terms of like, if I rate a book out of 5 for enjoyment, then that's how many half stars that I give it. So it's like if it's a 4 out of 5, then that would be like 2 stars. If it's a 5 out of 5, then it's the full 2.5 kind of a thing. And then the rest of it would be other stuff. So that could be about like, you know, was the book edited well? Were the characters like, you know, fully fleshed out? Like all of that kind of stuff. And rather than rating each of those on a scale of 1 to 5, which is what Core Pile kind of gets us to do, or a scale of 1 to 10, whatever, depending on how you want to do it, I would just make them like yes, no questions. So I was thinking like, is it a yes, a no, or a sometimes kind of a thing, which means I guess sometimes would probably be in the middle. So like a yes, a sometimes, or a no. So like, were the characters fully fleshed out and very well developed? Yes. Was the world building like, you know, done in such a way that you could really envision the setting? Sometimes, or like, you know, whatever. And then based on how many yeses and nos it gets, that gives us the rest of the other 2.5 stars or something like that. This is me just playing around with ideas here. This isn't like the actual system, but I just thought that would be maybe possibly a better way for me to do it. So coloring in our squee box. Squee. So yeah, I haven't had a book that's given me a hangover this year. And there's only one book in particular, I think, that has ever given me a book hangover that I actually know of, and that was A Court of Mist and Fury. I just remember trying to function the next day and just being like, I can't do anything. Like, I can't not think about that book right now. I'm like trying to do my work, and I'm just sitting there like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. So haven't had that this year, which is fine. But let's see, you saw a great stand that had 5 dots, 1 with nay and 5 with yay. That's kind of cute. Yeah. I find that when it comes to like yes no questions or whatever, I typically like to have a 4-point scale. So it'd be like very, some, not really, or not at all kind of a thing, because then you can't just like pick the middle option every single time. Which is why oftentimes when I do surveys for our community and stuff like that, where I'm trying to gauge people's opinions on things, I do typically go with a 4-point scale rather than a 5-point scale, because otherwise you can just do like a like neither is the middle option, and then it's like, you know, very very not neutral, and then sometimes, and then like very sometimes, or like whatever. I am explaining this poorly, but hopefully you understand what I mean. So in terms of this, we're going to put red, white, and royal blue here, and then red, white, and royal blue. I was also thinking about how I might wanna do my bingo boards differently next year. Like, I do quite like these flip ups, I think they're a little bit of fun, but they're also quite delicate, and you can see that these guys are kind of, like, curved in at the corners, which sometimes proves, hazardous when I go to close my notebook and they get caught the wrong way. Like this one, they're doing okay, but sometimes, every so often, they get caught the wrong way and they get bent and such. But I found that last year's one with the tip in didn't work as well for me. This guy here. I just found it hard to, because you're going from a list to a grid, it was a little bit tricky. But I think that it might be nice to have ones with like the actual book covers and like maybe have the spaces and then stick the book cover over the top or something like that. I thought that'd be kind of cute. Haven't decided it yet. I also think that next year I want to do a 25 reads for 2025 and pick 25 things to put on like an annual TBR and see if I can read them. With the expectation that I won't necessarily read all of them, but I think it would be a bit of fun. So we'll see. Adding to my favorites list, as we said, I'm probably going to hold off on adding it just because I might end up with a book that I like more. And then if it comes out at the end of the year that, it is the most favorite that hasn't been added somewhere else in these, then it's all good. Also, it's good to say that, like, I consider these two bingo boards separately, so I do have double ups from one to the other. So, for instance, like Fourth Wing is here, Fourth Wing is also here, because I consider these bingo boards separate. This one is more like how I read the book or like who it was suggested by or like things like that. And this one is more kind of like tropey kind of based, that kind of stuff, or like enjoyment based or whatever. Yeah, so I do have to add all of my books read to here, and I probably have to set up another page for it because Fourth Wing was the last one that I wrote in here. And if we go back to my document, then you can see that I have A Salt Keep, When the Moon Hatched, Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, Princess Diaries, such a nostalgia read, Life Advent Hacks, Hearts of the Five, The Dip, Beautiful Demons, The Artist's Way, and Red, White, and Royal Blue. So that's what, 1, 2, 3. I can literally see the number down here. It says 10. Okay, that is 10 reads. I do not have, I do not have that much space. Oh gosh, too many options down the bottom here. I do not have 10 spaces down here, so I'm going to need to set up an entire another page for reads, and I was thinking about putting them on that spare page that I have, wherever that spare page is, here. So I would possibly put games here, and then the maybe next I'd get rid of because I don't really need it this year. Yeah, I thought that like a 25 and 25 would be kind of fun, and it's the kind of thing like if I don't read it, like no harm, no foul. But I like the kind of gamification of the reading. It's like, oh, how many of those can I get done? Because I know that one that my friends do is like 12 recs from 12 friends. So they get their friends to recommend them books, and then over the course of the year, they try and read all 12 of them, which I thought would possibly be an enjoyable and entertaining way to do it. So maybe I do something like that. That could be kind of cute. That line was very off. We need to pay attention to what we're doing here. But I also don't mind that it's a little bit off. I mean, this is why we pick the pale color to do this, because it's less noticeable when you do it in a pale color. If I did it in like a very bright, punchy blue, that would be a different thing. So this is going to be my new list, or like, I don't know, continue on list of things that I am reading this year. I don't expect to fill up the whole thing, considering we're getting towards the end of August, and I've only just filled in the last list. But I also thought that list was going to be enough for the entire year, so ha 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 ha. It's kind of exciting though, because I never really considered myself to be a reader. And I think that, for all intents and purposes, I kind of wasn't a reader. I'd maybe read one book a year, but I would never really felt like completely drawn to the idea of having to do any reading or whatever. But this year and last year in particular, my reading has certainly ramped up. Like last year, I set myself a reading goal of 12 books because I figured, that's one a month. And in 2022, I had set myself a goal of 12 books because we had just started our book club. And I was like, okay, well, yeah, I'll read each of the book club books and then I'll be, get to my 12 that way. But I DNF'd some of those. So I only just managed to get 13 books that year. But I was like, okay, I got 13 books in 2022 by the end of the year just. So I'll set myself a goal of 12 books again for 2023. That seems reasonable. And I hit that. It must have been in about August or something like that. I ended up reading, I think, 25 books last year. So I was like, okay, if I can read 25 books in a year based on that, then maybe I'll be a little more ambitious. I'll set myself the reading goal of 24 books for this year. Because I'm like, you did 25 last year, you can probably do 24. So my reading goal for this year was 24 books, and I hit that, I don't even know when. Let's go have a look. Let's go have a cheeky gander. Let's say 24. I can't do math in my head. And by that it means I can't be bothered counting, so I'm just going to use this because it has the numbers on the side of it. So there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 24. 24 would have been, A Curse for True Love. That would have been the 12th of June. So, halfway through June, I met my reading goal for the year, which was quite exciting. I should probably also measure how many spaces I need on this. So that is 32. 32. Where was I? It's going to be very tricky remembering where these pages are. 32. Oh, gorgeous. I've done the right number of lines. I'm a wizard. Yay me. So we're going to make sure that we have set this page up very similar to the last one. I'm actually going to bookmark this page because trying to flip back and find it every single time is becoming tedious. And by bookmark, I mean I'm just going to use this little, I think this is like an Erin Condren notebook or journal band or whatever. I'm just going to put it over the front of the notebook here. So then I know where I'm turning back to. Cute. So for the setup of this page, we have 3 columns that are on the side here. So I'm going to rule a line for those 3 columns. And then I also have a ruled line at the top and the bottom. Cute. Just like, I like to set them up the same so that there's like, a little bit of consistency between the 2 pages. It also just means, you don't have to reinvent the wheel or anything like that. Yeah, and the way that I get the darker line here is just by going over it multiple times with the same pen that I was using to do the lines. It means that the hue or the kind of like color, I guess, is the same, even though the saturation or the like darkness, I suppose, technically both, is a little different. Let's see. Alrighty, only ever read periodically in the past, maybe in this year so far you've read 16. Oh, that's awesome. Good job. Yeah, I think that one of the things that I know really helped me out in terms of my reading and becoming more of a reader was definitely having kind of community around me that likes to read, because I know that like Rachel has, she's probably the reason that I got into reading, and then having Monica as a friend who is also a big reader. Like, my enjoyment of reading is higher because I have friends who read. So if you want to read more, and you want community around you who enjoys reading, then I would love to invite you, if you aren't already part of our Discord server, which is where we host our book club. You don't have to be part of the book club, but if you want to read more, if you want to celebrate your reading, you want to have a lot of fun with it and talk with people about books, then totally come join us. I'll chuck a link in the description box for it, or I could probably go find it now, but I'll do it in a second once I've set up more of this page. So let's see. Oh wait, I already set one up. I thought I had one, but obviously I'm not paying any attention. That's cool. We'll just use this one as the game's layout. Done. Nice and easy. So we actually already have a reads page that I set up in addition to the last one. Lucky I turned back, otherwise, whoops. So we can totally go and add things into there. I'm actually going to put the bookmarks on this page so that I know where to turn to next. Phew. Also, we haven't had a drink. Tink. Obviously not open, so need to open that. Otherwise, sustenance. Okay, it's Coke Zero. It's not really sustenance, but having a drink is good for you. Well, I'm still going to stand by that statement. put that back to the side. I'm gonna go find you a link though, because yeah, I really enjoy our little reading community. It's been a fun kind of little adventure, because our book club originally was just going to be Rachel and I. It was going to be Rachel and I. We were going to read the same book each month together, kind of a thing. And then when I shared about it online, people were really excited. They're like, "Oh, we want to get involved. We want to be part of it as well." I'm like, "Okay, sure, yeah, you can totally come and be part of our book club. It would be cool to have you there." So then we were just putting it in our regular, like, kind of what I'm going to call the everyday Discord. But then it's kind of gotten to the point where the book club has kind of developed enough that it had to have its own space. So we recently set up a new Discord space for the book club and for people who are reading enthusiasts, which I've just sent in the chat there. So if you want to join, you want to jump over and come and hang out with us and stuff, then we'd love to have you here with us. It's just nice to have people who are enthusiastic about the same thing you're enthusiastic about, you know? And you don't have to actually join the book club. As I said, you can just be there and hang out with us. So, in terms of, you usually do the book club on Audible. Yeah, I like that we get to see, you know, different types of readers. People who prefer reading like physical books or audiobooks, or ones who prefer e-readers, or like, you know, they do immersive reads where they read like, you know, audio and physical or text at the same time and such. But so Fourth Wing was the last one I noted down, and I'm not going to put in my scores just yet. I'm just going to write down titles and dates to start myself off. And I don't record the author in my list. I just record title and date. So we have A Soul to Keep. A Soul to Keep. And we have, I have ordered these, yeah? Yeah, I have. Okay, so When the Moon Hatched. And we've got The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. So that one was our book club book for this month, Small Angry Planet. And I was kind of apprehensive about it, honestly, because it's a sci-fi book. I don't really read sci-fi. It's been a hot minute since I read sci-fi. The last sci-fi book that I read before that, I wasn't really into. I was like, yeah. My parents are really into sci-fi, so usually when we hang out or like I go over to their place or whatever, we usually end up watching a sci-fi movie, and I'm like, yeah, you know, it's fine, whatever. So I was kind of apprehensive about this one. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was such like, it was like cozy sci-fi. It felt very Firefly inspired. It felt like each chapter was a little TV episode. I had a very good time reading that book. So I would totally recommend it. If you do want to join the book club, right? You know, not to plug the book club or anything, but if you did want to join the book club, there is still 2 weeks until we talk about this book. This book did not take me very long to read at all. So there is still plenty of time if you want to, you know, jump in, read this book, come and discuss it with us. We do our discussions via the Discord as well. It's just like a voice chat. You don't have to be on camera or anything. You actually don't even have to talk if you don't want to. You can just like text chat at us, like type chat. But it's always nice to be able to discuss reads with people. I find them to be enjoyable, like getting other people's opinions and stuff. But the next one was The Princess Diaries, which was also a cozy read in the sense that it was like nostalgia. The Princess Diaries. And then we have Life Admin Hacks, which Life Admin Hacks was, I think, good if you're not already very deep in the world of personal productivity and stuff like that, because I kind of am. It was like, yeah, not a lot of the information was super new. It was also written by people who are based in Melbourne, like Victoria, Australia, so a lot of it was very kind of like Australia tips, or like based in like a lot of the language they're using, and a lot of the tips are very much based in that space, which means it's not necessarily super applicable to people who are in different countries. Which means, for me living in New Zealand, a lot of it I'm just like, okay, well, I can't do that. We don't have Medicare. We don't have whatever. But it was still interesting. Yeah. Considering your picks can be interesting, I'm glad it hit well. Yeah. That was Monica's pick for book club. So good job, Monica. It was a good one. I enjoyed it. So that is for the rest of this page kind of done. Need to fill in the stars, need to fill in the dates though. So we'll do at least the dates. I'm just going to highlight the dates for myself so I can see which one I'm doing. So 7, that's July. So that's the 27th and 28th of July. There we go. July. And then we have August. So we have the 2nd, 5th, and 7th. 2nd, 5th, and the 7th of August. UG. Gorge. Nice and easy. Yeah, you're just trying to think about what it reminded you of a Firefly. Yeah, I think it is. Obviously, like in Firefly, our crew are all human, and in The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, they're not. And I did have to go find some fan art so that I could kind of visualize what our crew members looked like, but it was very Firefly vibes. It was cute, and I liked it. All right, I want to put my star ratings in. I need to find my pen for that, because to do these little stars, I use a thinner micron pen, like an O2, just so that then they don't end up being like fat blobs of weird color. So for these ones, in terms of the ratings, I do the ratings at the end. So not the Goodreads rating, because Goodreads only lets you rate in full stars. I don't do full stars. So that is 4.5, 3, 4.5, 4, 3. So for each of these, I'll just go and put 3 stars in first, because then I just build off that, just to make sure that I give the right amount of stars for each of the books. Just go put in the minimum first. I think most of my reads this year have been fairly decent. I've only had a couple that felt like a bit of a slog. I'd like to finish up some of the reads that I'm reading, actually, because I've technically started Iron Flame, and that's the one that I'm going to read next. But I've also started this book called, I think it's Building a Story Brand or something like that, because it's very recommended, like in the world of business, and technically speaking, this is a business, but I mean, it is. So in trying to think about like how to market yourself, quote, which I don't think I'm very good at. So I figured, reading a book on it might actually help me. So I have been reading that because it is so recommended, and it is actually quite interesting. I just haven't really actioned a lot of the points, I suppose. I do find that oftentimes with like, business books and stuff like that, I end up reading them in bed, because I read in bed. It's something I do. But then to actually take action, I really need to be at my desk. So it's probably not the best that I read them in bed. I should possibly like set some time aside in my schedule to actually do my reading of these kind of more businessy type books or whatever. Ones that are a bit more kind of targeted towards helping me with my work. I should probably put time into my work schedule to read them. But look at that. Oh, yay! There's a full page. But we want to go and fill in the next one, which we put a bookmark in because we're so sensible. So we've got more. Love it. It's literally the exact same structure. So we're going to go and put in these ones. So that is Heartstopper Volume 5 being the next one. I always like to tilt my journal while I write. It's more comfortable for my hand. Heartstopper. Have I been writing vol or volume? Dang it. I'll turn back. I've been writing vol. VOL. Vol 5. And then The Dip. The Dip was a nice little book. It was only 80 pages. And that's talking about how to know when to quit things. It's been on my TBR for quite a while, and then I pulled that one specifically for Deck of TBR-a-thon. I think it was like randomize your TBR or something like that, and it came out from there. So I was like, okay, excellent. Beautiful Demons. And that one's by Sarah Cannon of Heart Breathings. That one was good too. Beautiful Demons. And that's probably a series that I will continue with. The Artist's Way, which we have already talked about, so I will not labor the point, but that being said, the idea of, if you haven't heard of it, morning pages is one of the things she talks about. It's like one of the first things she talks about. It intrigues me, but I don't like handwriting, which is silly because like that's literally what I do. But I don't like long form journaling in a handwritten format because it takes me too long. So I'd be kind of tempted to try morning pages, but digital. Red, white, and royal blue. I need to focus on what I'm writing. Otherwise, I was going to write royal white. And I'm like, no, that's too much white. We need the blue in there. But yeah, I was kind of tempted to possibly try doing it digitally and see like what the impact of that was, but haven't started that. Oh, look. We did what? Heartstopper on the 7th after we'd just done the other book on the 7th, which is exciting. And then we did The Dip and Beautiful Demons both on the 8th. Yay. Alrighty, so 7, 8, 8, and then 10, 17. Nice. AUG. I find that balancing hobbies is difficult. And part of the reason why I turned my reading journal into more a stories journal is because I don't just read for enjoyment. I also, like play games and watch movies and TV shows and stuff like that. And so I wanted to have the ability to, I guess, like not feel guilty when I'm not reading, because I use this reading journal to capture the reads that I'm doing and all the books. Sorry, my mate just messaged me. She's like, if Aurelium doesn't come out today, oh my gosh. I'm like, it's gonna be okay, Rachel. But because I was kind of feeling like a little bit, what's the word? I was feeling a little bit sad, I guess, when I wasn't reading, because then I couldn't capture the reads that I was doing in here. Yeah, Monica just got the message too. But I kind of decided, like, you still want to read, obviously, and you still want to be able to, like, watch movies, play games, and that kind of stuff. So maybe we'll just incorporate those into this journal as well. So that then you've got them all together. That would be kind of, a way to not feel guilt around exploring your other hobbies. But that means that with the way that I do my, blurbs and such, having a little space to write about all of the things I'm consuming, when you add movies and TV shows and stuff in here as well, that is a lot of stuff to record. So I'm thinking next year that I am going to change up the way that I do this. 2, 3, 4, 5. So that I'm not necessarily writing a blurb for every single piece of media I consume. Because I'm getting a little bit tired of life. Okay, a little bit sick of it. So I was thinking that I could possibly just write blurbs about the ones that really stick out, or the ones that I feel like I have something to say about them in some respect. I just don't know how I would necessarily decide on that. I was actually thinking about doing some kind of like a 1-sentence review page. I thought that'd be kind of fun. So just have a 1-sentence summary for each of the books that I'm reading or whatever. That'd be kind of fun, but still plenty of time to decide on how I want to tackle my reading journal for next year. Let's see. And oh no, I said that I don't give that one 3 stars. I don't agree. I need to, this is why I want to change up the rating system, because 3 stars for The Artist's Way, in my personal opinion, or it doesn't have to be your opinion, too high. Do not want. Alright, so Red, White, and Royal Blue, we gave 4.5 stars. Dunzo, funzo. Looks cute. Love it. So we can close that one out now. Looking good. And fix this mistake. Which mistake fixes are not, they're not hard. Like, getting those out of the journal is not difficult. It's just something that has to be done. So what I do is that anytime I print stickers for this journal, with my little pictures and stuff that I do for the little cards or the little cover images and whatever, anytime there's offcuts from the sticker paper, I just save them in here, because then I can just use the sticker paper to cover over the mistakes, because it's pretty much the same color as the journal. So just put that over the top of the star. Blink. Done. There we go. See, no harm, no foul. Like, it's a little bit see-through, but it doesn't really bother me that much. Let's see. You use the teacher planner videos to make your teacher journal today. Yay! Oh, I'm glad, and I hope that it was helpful. I'm glad to hear that, because I think that I do miss the creativity of teaching, like, planning lessons, and then also, the way that I would use my journal for that, and the kind of like creative restraints around how I would use my journal was always kind of nice. But I don't necessarily miss all of teaching, if that kind of makes sense. Let's see. Still editing the Aurelium video. They're now having a conversation about Aurelium in the group chat, so I'm going to turn that on do not disturb mode, otherwise I will get distracted. But most of what you write is, nope, why did I do this to myself? Oh, okay, yeah, I would like to try morning pages, but anywho. So we'll put those to the side. Oh, I feel like it might be good to have those here. No, it's already got text in it now, so it'll be okay. But that does mean that I have technically started a page here that I'm going to use for games. So at some point I'm going to come and decorate this. Not right now, but let's see. Because this is tricky, because for movies, I didn't put the date that I watched it, mainly because I wasn't going to be able to remember the dates of all of the movies that I've been playing. And so I don't necessarily think I want to have a column for the date for games either, because I don't necessarily finish them. like some of them, they get finished. But I don't I don't think I need to record it. It's not information that I actually want to have. This information for my reads, though, I like to see how many books I read a month and kind of see the distribution of where I was reading, more fiction versus nonfiction, or bigger books versus smaller books, or whatever, that kind of stuff. Or maybe how different reading challenges I was getting involved in impacted how much I was reading. That's nice to keep in here, and having the dates for that is helpful. But having the dates for movies watched versus games and that kind of thing, not so much. I'm going to leave it for now, just in case I decide to use this page for something else. Maybe I end up blitzing through this page and reading a whole bunch, because we've already got 5 lines of this filled in, which I think for January I only had 3. And yes, August is the 8th month, so technically I only have September, October, November, and December, but maybe I blitz it. We'll see. We won't go and fix that up just yet. But it's cool. Now, in terms of where we're up to here for Deck of TBR-a-thon, my general plan for this was to keep a list of the books that I've been reading here, what cards did I pull and what books have I read for those cards. I'm thinking about, for this one, I might print out the pages of the covers, I guess, of each of the reads, and then maybe do the little cards and kind of show which card got pulled for each one, because I think that's something that Monica was doing either on her stories or maybe in a journal. I don't know. It looked really bloody cute. I like the idea of the platform for the column. That might be a good idea. Yeah, we could do something like that. So what, PC, Xbox, physical? Yeah, all right. We could do that. That's actually a really good idea. Thank you for that, Hope. So then it'd be platform title. I don't necessarily give a rating to every game, because that's also another thing that I don't necessarily need. Let's see. Platform title. I'm not going to put ratings in just yet, because I don't know if I really feel the need to capture that information. But for instance, that'd be something like On PC, we play The Quarry. And then on Xbox, played Hogwarts Legacy. Hogwarts Legacy. And then on Xbox, we played Little Hope. That one I've almost finished. And then physical, we played Azul. And physical, we played Catan. We played that yesterday. Love Catan. How did you like The Quarry? I love The Quarry. It's such a good game. Like, I've already technically played it like 10 times. Like, I played it at least 9 times in my first console, because we played it on Xbox One, and now we have the Xbox. I don't even know what the Xboxes are called. Like, seriously, could you not have just numbered them like PlayStations do? Why did you do this? That's an aside. But we had it on our old Xbox and we played it through, and now we've got it on our new Xbox, which is technically a new game copy on a new console, so you can like re-get the achievements. So we're playing it again. But yeah, I have played that to death, but I do very much enjoy it. And then we're going through and playing the what I call like the Dark Pictures anthology or whatever. It's like by the same game company, Supermassive Games or whatever it's called. They have kind of like short story ones as well, which are really fun. They're horror games. They're scary, but I'm also a giant chicken. So I have played now Little Hope about 6 or 7 times to get through the achievements in that one. The nice part about those ones, though, is that the story is smaller than The Quarry. So playing it 7 times on repeat over the span of like a week and a half isn't really that bad. I do find like we play the story through the first time. Vogel and I play them together because, as said, I am a giant chicken. So really, it's me just like hiding under a blanket and him actually moving the characters around and stuff. And then once I've played it through the first time, I kind of remember where the jump scares are, so it's not really so much of an issue. I kind of know when to divert my eyes and where I can just walk versus I should kind of like tentatively walk, so that then when the thing pops up out of me or whatever. Yeah, I've been enjoying that. Let's see, Cult of the Lamb. Who and what is that one? I'm gonna go look this up. Hopefully of the Lamb. Hopefully my YouTube isn't like, oh my god, danger zone. Let's see. Oh, it kind of looks cute. I actually quite like the look of that. That looks quite sweet. I might have to go check that one out as well. But you've been playing Demonologist and Plasmophobia over the weekend. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I mean, like, I really enjoy playing games, and that's why I decided to put them in this journal, because I just felt like they needed to be celebrated as well. I want to possibly go through and capture Danganronpa. Danganronpa. With the Monokuma file. That one is a PC game. That one was one that Vogel and I played together. It's kind of like a little, I guess, thriller horror mystery type thing. It's not quite as horror as Little Hope and The Quarry and stuff are, but it's a bit of fun though. It's kind of what's the word, like anime-esque. I don't know what the styling of the game is, but let's see. Do we have any other games in here that I've written in about? No. Nope. I also have a tendency only to write little blurbs about video games because they're usually the ones that are a bit more story-based. Near. Whereas I do technically play, board games and such, and I've recorded like a couple physical games on here. But DBD, Dead by Daylight. And then we're into more recent blurbings, The Quarry. I enjoy The Quarry. But yeah, I don't think I'm going to put ratings here because there's just some things that I just don't feel compelled to rate. I like rating my books, which I mean primarily this is a reading journal, so it makes sense that I'd put more information in about reads, but I don't really need to spend as much time, considering the one-off movies that I watch on a whim. Well, I just watched the first 3 Descendants movies because I recently, with Rachel, watched Descendants 4, and it was bad. It was not good. The first 3 Descendants movies are fun, and I enjoy them, and they're not like good movies, but they're still enjoyable movies. This one, I was just like, this is supposed to be a Disney movie. Where is the positive moral of the story? But whatever, it's all good. So yeah, you need to try DVD. I think it's a lot of fun. It's a game that I think I get a lot more enjoyment of playing it with other people because you can play on the same team as your friends if you're playing the survivor mode, because you've got survivor and killer, and then obviously there's 1 killer and 4 survivors, so you can only play with your friends if you're going to play survivors together, or if you have 5 people and then one of your friends is the killer and the other 4 are survivors, and you can make your own little lobby. That one's quite fun. But yeah, you've been wanting to watch the 4th one but didn't want to ruin the first 3. I mean, it didn't ruin the first 3 for me. It just it felt very much an aside, like same world, but you don't, it's not the same. It's not the same. But I won't spoil it for you. That is just obviously all my opinions. Take it with a large grain of salt. So things that I want to do in here still, though, because I have all of these spaces that I've set up for writing in my blurbs and such, but I haven't actually written in which ones are going to be which piece of media, and I don't necessarily have covers for all of them. Not to say that we're going to go cover hunting today and try to print things out and whatever. I do have a bunch of covers in the back, but none of them I think are for the things that I've recently consumed, except for maybe Lisa Frankenstein, which Vogel and I recently watched. And I recently finished season 3 of Schitt's Creek. Seems work. I don't think that's season 3. Where is season 3? Did I already stick season 3 in? Maybe. Vogel's been reading Essentialism. I haven't read it yet. And then the rest of these I don't think are things that I have consumed. Yeah, when I go and print off a page, I have done this one. When I go and print off a page for my reading journal, like little covers, I want to make sure that I use up as much space as possible because I don't want to waste any of the paper. But that does mean that I end up with a lot of these cutouts of things that I'm going to read at some point, but they're not necessarily the next up on my TBR. I find it a lot easier to print off ones that are for series, because then you can print off a whole bunch at once, because you can, say like the whole Gleam Guild series or whatever. And then Rachel's like, hey, you should read 4 Psychos. So I went and found all of the covers for the 4 Psycho series, but they're not necessarily up next on my TBR. But all of these are printed on sticker paper, and because I don't want to waste the sticker paper, I print all of them together so that I'm making the most use of the page. Now, I'm going to go check to see if I've already got Schitt's Creek in there, because I don't remember if I do. And then I don't think any of these ones are things that I've recently read. So we can put those back in the back. Sit down there and think about what you've done. Love that. Now, where would I have put it, though, I guess is the real question. So that's number 2. How many seasons does it have? Oh my gosh. And say, after all of these book discussions, you're going to go off and read. Love it. Good choice. It's Creek. Actually finding covers for the seasons was also quite tricky. So this one has, in accordance with Wikipedia, scrolling, 6 seasons. Okay, so in that case, that means that this should be the remaining 4 seasons, and if I did my job correctly, this one in theory would be season 3. It doesn't really matter, like, unless it actually has the word, like, season 3 on it or whatever, which I couldn't find any that said that. As long as it's a picture to stand in for the fact that I have watched season 3, it's all good. So, season 3, very good. Love it. So we're going to flip to the next available page, which I have started kind of putting in little spaces for and whatever, and we're just going to stick them in there. I just need to make sure that I don't stick it on one that has a blurb for something else or a piece of writing for something else. There we go. That one can go here. Try and pull this one off carefully. Now I know that I have... Oh dear. No, that one goes here. I was like, that's too low. I have recently watched those Descendants movies, and I would like to have them all together, like Descendants 1, 2, 3, to write the little blurb reviews for them. So I'm going to put those on one page together. And then I might put Lisa Frankenstein in there as well, because it's also a movie. I feel like the sizing of this is different, and that's probably because, yeah, it totally is. The sizing is totally different. Because I find that my printer does this fun thing where I tell it to print on A4, and it just goes, "Did you mean letter size?" I'm like, no. If I wanted... Okay, first of all, when do I ever want to print in letter size? I don't have letter size paper. A4 is the common one for my region. So what are you doing? But... it's cool. It happens, I suppose. Frustrations. We can put Heartstopper in, though. That'd be kind of cute. And then the 3 Descendants films can sit here. And then I need to go and check to make sure that I have at least dedicated a space to each of the other reads that I have or films that I've watched or whatnot. Just so that then I can, go and find their covers, print them off, cut them out, stick them in, all that kind of stuff. I did such a good job before my last trip to Melbourne in particular. Did such a good job of getting myself quite a bit caught up in this. I was like 30 little blurbs behind, and now I am behind again. I was doing so well because, yeah, I think I was up to here last time. I did a big catch up. Which, I mean, I'm still technically behind. I've got spaces in here that still haven't been filled in. If we, this one, that's 1, and 2, 3. I think it's only the 3. So, yeah, I was 3 behind, and now I am 3. These 2 books haven't been finished, so it doesn't count. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, dear. 9, 10, 11, 12, nope, 9, 10, 11, because I have written this one. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, plus the ones that I haven't written in yet or, like, dedicated a space for. So, not doing so great. It's cool, though. It's all right. I got time. And if at the end of the year I get to a point where I'm just like, you know what, I'm not going to fill this. I'm not going to fill them in. I'm just going to have my little pictures and stuff. I'm not that sad about it. Like, I really like the way it looks when I do fill them in, and I've got a full page of my little blurbs. Like, flip back to the last full page. A full page of the little blurbs. It is very satisfying, but yeah, you got like 20 something to finish in your media journal. I'm interested to see how many I actually have left once we finish writing this stuff in. So, Schitt's Creek, S Creek. I also made the stylistic choice to only capitalize the first letter in all of these. So, like, the Quarry, small q, the Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, only got a capital T. I don't know if I'm necessarily going to do that again next year, but it is something I decided on this year. SO3. I quite enjoyed season 3. I know that a lot of people rate season 3 as the best season of the show, but I felt like I wasn't really into the show until season 3. I cared a lot more about the characters by the point of getting to season 3. So, Descendants 1, 2, 3, Lisa Frankenstein, Heartstopper. What have I read but not put in here? I guess that's the biggest question. How far back do I want to go with this? Okay, so fourth wing I know I've already put in here. We're gonna open up my little spreadsheet again. Beautiful. Okay, and we're also gonna drop this down and make it so I can actually see what I'm doing. So fourth wing is already in there, even though I haven't done anything with it. Assault to Keep is already in there. When the Moon Hatch is already in there. Long Way to Small Angry Planet, I believe, yeah, it's right here. So that's all good. Princess Diaries, Life Admin Hacks isn't in there. Heartstopper Volume 5 I just stuck in. The Dip isn't in there. Beautiful Demons, The Artist's Way isn't in there. And Red, White, and Royal Blue isn't in there. So those are the ones that I need to make space for. Iron Flame. Is that the one that was here? Yeah, okay. I've already got Iron Flame in here because I'm like, I thought I had a spot for it. I just haven't finished it. I was thinking I was going to finish it. You only do blurbs if you have something to write about. Generally, you just log the book name and the date. Yeah, see, that's very reasonable. And I think that's kind of what I want to do next year. But I just didn't do that this time because I made some choices. So we need to put in spaces for each of these. Nice and easy. And I'm going to make it so that I can see nice and easily the author as well. Okay. So the Princess Diaries I have technically actually already put here. I just don't have a picture for it. So that's fine. That's okay. I'm going to change the color of that one to blue. Just so that I have that differential point. Makes it a little easier for myself. Similar idea with, no, Heartstopper I've already got in there. That's cool. Okay. Life Admin Hacks. Let's do that one. We'll put that here. Wait, okay. Life Admin Hacks, yeah. I've got this like piece of sticker paper here. Well, I feel like this should actually be higher because the cover of this one is going to sit, just finding another picture, like the cover of this one's going to sit here-ish, which means that the header has to start pretty much just above where these dots are. Because I was like, oh yeah, I'll write that over there. No. That's not where you're supposed to go. Life Admin Hacks. I figured that this one would be a good one to put here because the title isn't too long. I mean, technically speaking, the title is like, Life Admin Hacks, whole bunch of other text, but I don't usually put in the additional text when it comes to nonfiction reads because they have very long titles. That's by Mia Northrop, but I think it's not just by a Mia Northrop. I think that there's more people. There's like 2 of them. Northrop. I also don't know who the other person is though, so I'm gonna have to go look them up. Oh my gosh. Just to make my day hard. Okay, it's really not that bad. Like, this is very first world problem. We can do this. We have the technology. Let's see. I also find that I tend to search through my book lists based on cover picture more than actually reading the text because I find it a lot easier that way. Just using the visual rather than trying to actually read what things say. But then I guess the problem is that I don't know what it is about Goodreads, but it has the least user-friendly interface ever, I swear. Did I not add life admin hacks to this? Or am I just being dumb? Oh my gosh, I must be being dumb. But also, you'd think that the people, because I Goodreads is by Amazon, right? I might be wrong there, but you'd think that the people who have the ability to invest in something like Amazon would just be able to build a better UI for something like Goodreads. But no, maybe not. Dina. D-I-N-A-H. I'm going to have to put that on the next row down, but that's okay. Roberts. This could have been better planned out. But it's all good. I'm still very tempted to actually move this piece of tape up further, but now as I put this text in here, it would look a little odd for it to cut off where it does, so I'm just gonna leave it. I might end up putting a sticker over it or something like that, just to fill in a little bit of space there. It's Amazon. You've never been updated. Yeah, it's just messy. Like, just do better, be better. That's fine. Let's see. Your hubby retrieved your A&O box from your past room today. Yay! How exciting! I hope you're looking forward to it. So Life Admin Hacks is there, looking great. Love that for us. Descendants, leaving that. And then this one over here can be for, if it was perfect, they wouldn't be able to charge for support and maintenance. Oh, I suppose. I didn't realize they charged for that. I'm confused, but shrug. Big shrugs. So this one is the dip. The dip. And that's by Seth Godin, yeah. Godin. And then we have Beautiful Demons. UL. Demons. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that'll be fine. Her name will fit in there nicely. Sarah with 2 R's. And then Canon with 3 N's. All good. And then the honest way. Grumble, grumble, grumble. I think that the biggest bummer about this one, the reason why I'm as annoyed as I am, is because of how highly priced it is and because it's been on my TBR for so long. If it hadn't been, then I don't think I'd be quite so fast. TISTS. Way. Julia Cameron. Gorge. And then red, white, and royal blue, which I need to put here. Nice looking R's are something that I struggle with. I also was about to write read instead of red, so we'll just fix that up. Red. Which means that now the lettering style on that D isn't quite what I usually use, but it doesn't really matter. Red, white, and royal blue. And that's by Casey, yeah. McQuiston. Gorgeous. All right, not too bad. Because, yeah, when I usually do a cursive D like this one, I make it so that the actual kind of like circular part on the D is fairly small, and then the loop is quite large, and then it dips quite low. This time around, I've had to do like an A first, and then do the loop, so it doesn't dip quite as low as I usually would have it. So it looks a little odd compared to more typical letter structures that I've done, but it's not the worst thing ever. It could be so much worse. Let's see, have you pulled an ace for deck of TBR-a-thon? Yes, I did. That was what I read on the weekend. Because I pulled an ace, and I went to Becca's channel in particular, because that's who I heard about the readathon from, so I figured I might as well go to hers. And then she had pulled a jack. So I went with color in the title and did red, white, and royal blue, because I'm like, well, technically, there are 3 colors in the title. So do I get 15 points? No, okay, I don't. But, still. that is how I tackled my ace. And then when I put it in here, I put it down as an ace because that's what I actually pulled, rather than putting it down as a jack. But I might note somewhere that it was a jack, but I don't know if it's super necessary. So we'll see. Let's see. Tink. For sure. Alrighty, so Deca TBR-a-thon is being hosted by Becca Books and Bureau, I think, and her friend, I think, who's called Chloe. But the general gist of it is that you pull a card from a regular deck of cards, minus jokers, and then depending on what card you pull, you then get a set of prompts that you can pick your read based on. So let's just say, you pull a card and you pull out a 3. Okay, so the general series of prompts for a 3 is something about being on your owned TBR, or like books that you own physically, or like, digitally or whatever, they're yours. So then, depending on how many points you want, you tackle one of these prompts. So for a 1-point read, so you get 1 point for finishing the book, it has to have been on your owned TBR for less than 6 months. That means that it's something you've like recently decided you want to read, so you're probably going to find it a lot easier to read it. Whereas if you want to make it into a 5-point read, then it has to be on your owned TBR for over 5 years. Then based on finishing that book, whichever one you picked of those, you get points towards it, and you get points towards your team. There are 2 teams. There's Team Black and Team Red. I'm on Team Black. That's for people who are mood readers, whereas people who are on Team Red are the kind of people who like to make an actual list of books that they're going to read for any given month, like a TBR type thing. So you draw your card. Whatever the card is gives you whichever set of prompts. You pick which prompt in particular you're going to do, depending on whether you want to go for a 1, a 3, or a 5-point read. You read the book, and then you pick out another card. It's pretty good. So what I did is that the first thing I did was pulled out a King of Hearts. So I'm like, okay, well, King, got to go to the King prompts. King prompts are all related to genre. So then for 1 point, I could read something in my favorite genre. For 3 points, I could read a host favorite genre. Or for 5 points, I could read a rarely read genre. So I decided to tackle a 5-point read, and for that I went with The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, because that's a sci-fi book. I don't read a lot of sci-fi, so by finishing that, I get 5 points towards my team. And then once I'd done that one, pulled the next card, got a 2 of clubs. So then I go to number 2, which is related to your last read. So I decided again to do a 5-point one, so that's last name has the same letter as your last read. So that meant that The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, being my last read, the author of that one was Becky Chambers, so her last name starts with a C. So that means that for my 5 points that I want to get for this next read I'm doing, I needed to find a book that had an author whose last name started with C. So I decided to go with The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, and got halfway through it and was like, this is ridiculous. Can I find something else to read? And decided to change it to Meg Cabot. So I read The Princess Diaries, because that also, her last name also starts with C. So I switched it out, did that one instead. So on and so forth. It's been a very easy, chill, fun reading challenge. We do have a space in our Discord server that has, anybody who's kind of part of our community who's doing it has been chatting about it, or you can go over to Becca Books and Bujo, and she has, more information and like a full introductory video about the challenge, like where to sign up, how to get involved, that kind of thing. It's just for the month of August, so there's still technically 10, 12-ish days left or whatever that you can get involved if you want to get involved. It's been a lot of fun though. Yeah. So I want to go right in the other titles of stuff, because this was just books that I've read. So we want to put in space to put in the core pile. CAWPILE. 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 And for this one as well, WPIE. Just because the structure that I use slightly changes depending on whether I'm writing about a CAWPILE, whether I'm writing about a book versus a movie. Because for movies, I don't do a core pile breakdown or anything like that. Whereas for books I do. So books get the little core pile thing on the side, and then I just write a little blurb about how I kind of found, join the core pile chart. I know, right? It's literally because otherwise I forget one of the letters, and it's usually the P, so it just becomes core while, and that's dumb. I don't want it to look dumb, but I'm interested to see how I do it next year though, because if I don't use core pile, then I guess I'll just do like a regular blurb for each of them. So all of them will just end up looking like this. So the picture and then the blurb space, which is fine, but I do kind of like having the little structure on the side. I think we don't need to write about plot. The biggest issue I have is like plot versus intrigue, because if the plot is plotting, then the intrigue is high. So it's like, by virtue of the fact that the plot was good, the intrigue is already high. So I don't see that it feels like awarding points for the same thing twice. We were also looking at it the other day, Monica, Rachel, and I, and world building is in logic, and we just felt like world building should be in atmosphere. Like if you go to the breakdown of the questions with them, it feels more sensible to talk about it in atmosphere, because we're thinking like, quote, quote, physical atmosphere or whatever. Like, I don't know. Big shrugs. So these are all books. They all get core pile. These ones are movies. They do not get core pile. These ones all need, what's the word? Headers. We don't need a plot. We don't need it. So, Heartstopper, Volume 5. E-R-T-S-T. And again, have I been doing volume or vol? I'm pretty sure I've just been writing vol. I do like to keep it consistent. Like, it doesn't really matter because they're not on the same page as each other, but I do like them to look matchy. Vol. Yeah. Read books with a good plot, but it just didn't intrigue you. Well, yeah, that's fair. I find that, like, if the plot is considered good by my standpoint, often it means that the book was intriguing. Like, the plot held my attention. So it just feels like giving points for the same thing twice, which I don't vibe with. But that's kind of part of why I want to change it up. And that, and the aforementioned just feeling like enjoyment should be a more like weighted category, I suppose. SEMAN. And it could be the kind of thing where if we just went with like regular core pile, say, so CAWPILE, like if we just made it that, I don't know, enjoyment counted for 70% of the vote, and then the other ones all counted for 5%. I'm not going to write that every single time. You guys get the idea. So then that would be what, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So 30% of it is dictated by like, the actual kind of writing and stuff like that. And then the enjoyment would count for 70%. So given this, like just humor me for a second. We're going to go do some math. We're going to see how that would actually change my scores, and I'm going to have to bring my keyboard over here for this. So going back to my beautifully ugly spreadsheet here. Okay, so zoom out a little bit. We're going to almost make it so that I'm a bit smaller, because then you can actually see stuff. So currently, in terms of my rating, it's all about like rounding down and stuff like this to get to the 0.5s and whatever. I just want to see how roughly the score would change. Oi, that's a thank you column header. So if this accounted for 70% of the vote plus what we say, that asterisk 0.5 plus, I know that there's an easier way to do this. I'm just really sick right now, so I can't do that kind of math in my head. I've totally put that formula in wrong, haven't I? There we go. That asterisk there, thank you. Plus the next one, 0.05 times that plus 0.05 times that plus 0.05 times that plus 0.05 times that. Okay, cute. So based on that, what would my scores come out as, and like how much of a difference, I suppose, is there? Because I'm also interested in looking at the difference. So equals this one minus that one. Okay, so the biggest difference ends up being who would have guessed it? It's The Artist's Way. As said, I just did not enjoy that book at all, and thus, if I weight more on enjoyment, then I end up with like almost a 1.5 score difference. Okay, it's 1.21, but still, like the actual difference in terms of the score or output for that. So this guy here would end up being, what are you? You're about the average. Okay. So if I just kind of copy that across, insert, no. Sorry, I know this is super not necessary right now, but I'm still just intrigued by it. Okay, there we go. So this is where, or rather, this is what the actual score would be if I did this new weighting, where I weight everything much higher on enjoyment. Sorry, stop yelling at me. So yeah, if I rated this based on enjoyment, The Artist's Way would actually end up with a 1.5 score rather than 2 stars, which I've given it. And then if we go like largest, like my 5-star rates still end up being my 5-star rates, so that's fine. I feel fairly good about that. A Soul to Keep would end up being 5-star rather than 4.5. So everything kind of skews in whatever direction I've done for enjoyment. Like A Court of Silver Flames would end up being 4.5 instead of 4. Heartstopper would end up being 4.5 instead of 4. Once Upon a Broken Heart would end up being 4.5 instead of 4. I kind of like that. I think that, like, given the fact that the purpose of reading for me is enjoyment, it just makes more sense to actually weight enjoyment larger. So yeah, if you're wondering about what this column is that I've done with this big ass formula, this is effectively just how I would round the average scores to actually get a star rating, because I do star ratings based on half stars up to 5, because I just find that if I try and do a 10-point scale, I still tend to want to do the half stars, and that ends up becoming a 20-point scale, and that's ridiculous. So this one, effectively, this column here that we're working in, is just telling me, like, when I put this in my reading journal, how many stars would I actually assign to the book. So it's interesting to see, like, how that changes, or like how it would be a little bit different. But anyhow, so I'm thinking possibly next year, like, if we did it so that then the enjoyment factor was just weighted at 70%, maybe that could be one of the ways that I do it. But I also kind of like the idea of just having yes/no questions for each of the different items rather than playing around with CorePile. So what do you think? Like, I, just as a general question, if you rate your books, or, you know, your reads, your movies, whatever, what system do you use to do those ratings? Is it just like the vibes? Fine, valid, all good. Or do you have some kind of like more robust system? The reason that I like CorePile is it does get me to think more deeply about what I'm reading, and about, like, was this actually a good piece of literature? Not just like, was this enjoyable for me to read? Which, you know, I never really excelled in English in school, so this feels like me kind of like recapturing that time, you know, doing a little bit more of an analysis, I suppose. But as we mentioned, because the purpose of reading for me is enjoyment, it just makes more sense to give them scores that are more heavily based on enjoyment. Yeah. Lisa Frankenstein. Where's my pen? Where's my pen, Lisa Frankenstein? So this one, being a movie, doesn't need to have the little CorePile section. And because Lisa Frankenstein is a name, I do capitalize the names. It was a fun movie. It didn't take itself too seriously. So yeah, Lisa Frankenstein being a name, it gets a a capital, but something like life admin hacks, which like admin and hacks, not names, they don't get capitals. What else? I can never remember how to spell descendant, so we're gonna go look that up. Tee. Love to see my definition for each section of core pile. I can show you that in a second. Descendants, which I can't like. I can guess myself. It is very much what it is. So D E S C E N. Because I never know if it's a descendant or descendant. It's a descendant, if you were wondering. And I know that there's like 1, 2, and 3. I don't know if they have like special names. I think they're just 1, 2, and 3. I know the fourth one, or the most recent one, is called like the Rise of Red or whatever, but I don't think the other ones have anything special, which is good because it's easier this way. XCEN. But yeah, I was using them as a nice cozy watch while I was doing some journal work, like making layouts for that reading journal video that I've been talking about, just so that then I don't really have to look at the screen because I've already seen them before. I mean, I did find myself looking at the screen, but previously I've been watching a lot of crime shows like I Am a Killer, and I was watching Unsolved Mysteries, but it irked me that they were unsolved. Things like Worst Roommate Ever, something else. Catching a Killer, those ones. So they were all very interesting, but I was like, I think it would be nice to have something a little more chipper, a little more upbeat, rather than murderous, criminal investigative kind of stuff. But convinced me to get the new Autumn Calligraph pens. It's a nice palette. I was actually quite pleased with the palette of those ones. So these guys are all here. They're looking cute. Now, the request was made. Like, how do you do your breakdowns of the core pile ones? So the majority of these blurbs come from G over on Book Roast. So we have characters, atmosphere, writing, plot, intrigue, logic, and enjoyment. And then I've pretty much just taken most of the kind of questions and stuff that she had put in hers. Any of the ones that didn't really resonate, I didn't include, or any of the ones that, what's the word? Like the wording was too long for the space that I had. I just, took those out. Hope you're recovering well. Thank you. I'm slowly getting there. I still feel like my voice is not where I would like it to be, but we're getting there. So that's for fiction ratings. I don't have a dot over that I. Ew. Do better. Be better. There we go. Fiction ratings, cute. This one, though, is for my non-fiction ratings. More specifically, it's for self-help, productivity, those kind of books, because that's what I really read when it comes to non-fiction. So these ones are a little bit different to what G has. So this is credibility, accessibility, writing, payoff, individuality, logic, and enjoyment. Let's see. Drink break. Tink. I think the most fun thing about my unwellness is that it literally just feels like I'm constantly trying to get something out of my throat. Like it's stuck. I'm like, no, there's nothing there. You're okay. Be better. So thankfully, this is like my first proper coughing fit of our live stream. I think that I made it a very good amount of time before I decided to have one. Yeah, make sure that you're drinking lots of water. I do have my water bottle here. It's, sitting to the side. I like my cola though. Like, wakes me up in the morning with its very minimal amount of caffeine, but so, effectively, what happens is that for each of the different categories, you just give a rating out of, like, 10 if you're using the original system. I use 5 because I like half stars, so I've just taken the 10 star and, like, halved it effectively. Most of these blurbs also came from G as well. Slight change of wording for some of them, but, like, not huge kind of a thing. But, I'm thinking that, like, if I do change this next year, then the structure of this layout will also have to change, but that's a future me problem. Something that needs more thought, but not for right now. Let's see. It was really fishing. Okay, I like how you said that's why I had several points. It was really fishing to establish. Yeah, it had like you feel like I should be integrity. Did the character stay on track? Um, wait for this one or for this one? I think maybe for both. Yeah, I think that like I guess like integrity would for characters would kind of come into logic because it's like were the characters' motives like clear? Did they act in accordance with them? Were you able to follow the rules of the systems? Like mainly magic systems, I think, like fantasy reads and such. I'm glad that you made it too, Jolene. It's nice to have you here with us. But yeah, I find that some of these categories rather do have a little bit of overlap, or they're not necessarily um I- they the things that are in them don't necessarily fall in the places that I would think that they would. Which, when I decided to embark on Corpile, I think I didn't really have a good understanding of specifically how it worked. I had enough of an understanding to warrant putting it in here, but I think that now as I have a better grasp on how it works versus how I am as a reader, might just need to give it a little bit of a rework kind of a thing. But yeah. Oh well. We learn. And that's okay. Yeah. I'm very curious to see how I set up my reading journal for next year, because originally when I set this one up, I was also going to be using it as like a long-term journal, I suppose, is the idea of like all of the layouts that I was setting up, I was thinking I was going to use them for years and years kind of a thing. But then as I've been reading more and then putting more stuff in here, now we're getting to a point where I'm like, okay, maybe it's more like a one a year or one every 2 years type deal. But that looks pretty cute. So at least I've got the spaces listed in here for those. I also want to go write in some of the movie titles just so that I remember them. I do send myself a little message on my phone so that then I know which ones I need to print off and include and such. So I'm going to go and check those ones. So we recently watched Moonfall, which was honestly kind of silly. That one was also a sci-fi, but that one was kind of silly. Uh, Moon. I don't know if Moonfall is one word, so I'm going to go look that up because I would like it to be one if it's supposed to be, but I feel like it's 2 words. Oh, no, no, it's one. It's one. Moonfall. And then what was the other one that we watched recently? Oh my gosh, my memory is shocking. I mean, I do give myself like a slight pass because, not feeling good, blah, 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 blah. But the nice part is that you can also just go onto, for instance, like we use Netflix, and just go into your watch history and go see those ones. It's just a little bit easier. And I often will use that to figure out what we've been watching because, again, remembering stuff. Ew. Who has time for that? Let's see. Can I even remember where to find it? Viewing activity. There we go. Okay, we're good. We're good. So, Schitt's Creek, I'm Killer, Red Eye. Yes, okay. Red Eye was one. It's got like Cillian. Killian Murphy? I don't know how you're supposed to say that. I apologize to Mr. Murphy. Um, but that's one that I keep getting shorts of it show up on actually, probably more like reels. I keep getting reels of it, show up on Facebook and stuff because I swear my algorithm on Facebook is just clips from movies where they haven't actually told you what the movie is, which is very frustrating. Yeah, Moonfall is hilarious. Starts off mad, gets madder, and then veers into insane. I know, right? It was going quite well, and then it got like super weird. I'm like, okay, why not? It was a bit of fun though. Literally at one point, uh, I had to go look up a thing because someone was like, "Oh yeah, like the moon is hollow," and I'm like, "Wait, is it?" I'm like, "Jess, you bloody idiot! No, it's a conspiracy theory, you dumb dumb." It was quite funny, but I think it kind of got me thinking, like, how many conspiracy theories have we had throughout time? Like genuine ones that really kind of like took a hold of people that turned out to be true. I do wonder how many of those there actually are, but anywho. So we had Red Eye, then we watched all of the Schitt's Creek stuff, but that's like we're like a good chunk of the way into season 4 now as well. But trying to find movies. And then I also need to make sure I go check Vogel's account because sometimes we watch them on his account, not my account, which is, fine. That is totally valid and fair. I just need to make sure I check it, otherwise I don't have a good record of what we watch together. So, yeah, the last one we watched was just Moonfall from there, so that's cool. Is there a viewing history on Disney Plus? I don't know. I think that okay, of the streaming softwares, I'd like to get your opinion on this as well. Like if you have a variety of them, which one do you like the kind of what UI user interface or whatever, the actual kind of like setup and structure of the best? Because my personal preference is Netflix. I think that Netflix's user interface is one of the better ones. But I really like Amazon Prime for the fact that they give you like anytime you pause the screen, it gives you information about like who are the actors who are on screen right now, what song is playing, that kind of thing. So it effectively like it knows that you're just sitting there pausing the movie to look up IMDb to go find like what these people were in previously. Disney Plus is one of my least favorite ones. I don't like it. But you do think there's a watch again page. Okay, well, that's good then. Yeah, let's see. Billing history, manage devices, change your plan. None of these are helpful. Come on, Disney. Just do better, be better. Yeah, I find that the ability to find information on Disney Plus is hard. I also don't like that anytime you go into like look at movies or whatever, it doesn't just give you like all movies. It's like categorized instantly by stuff like it's just not as pleasant. Personal opinion, it's not as pleasant. Yeah, Netflix is certainly doing better in that space, at least for me and for Vogel. We pretty much constantly have a little complaint about it anytime we have to quote have to go and watch a movie somewhere else. But I think that might be all of them, at least that I can remember. I've probably forgotten one. It also doesn't account for the like anytime we hire a movie on like YouTube or wherever we're hiring movies from. And I think I already put Deadpool and Wolverine in here, didn't I? No, of course you didn't. Because we went and saw that at the cinema. I feel like I've been to the cinema a lot recently, or a lot more than I usually would, because we went and saw Inside Out 2, and we also went and saw Deadpool. And I know that Rachel wants to go see It Ends With Us. Deadpool and Wolverine is how it's pitched. Yeah, she wants to go see that. I haven't read the book, but I'm sure it doesn't matter that I haven't read the book. Deadpool and Wolverine, and because Wolverine is a like name ta-da! And then what I'm going to have to do, which I'm not going to do now, but what I'm going to have to do is go and find all of my little covers for these. But that feels like a bit of a future me problem. I'm feeling good, at least to the extent that I have these cover, like the little names written in though, so I know what I need to go print off. so I can stick them in and such. But for now, though, thank you for hanging out here with me. It's been such a pleasure. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I hope you're feeling, prepared for the week ahead if you were journaling with us, or if you just use this for some chill time. I hope it was chill. I hope you had a good time with it. I am going to go down 2 liters of water and go find my Strepsils so that my throat stops choosing violence. Oh my gosh. But I'll see you guys next time. Alrighty. Bye for now.